Fork, gave up a scoring drive late. This is Ridgeview's fourth straight game to open the season against a ranked opponent. But I really like the Blazers here. They could nip Camden tonight and very easily could be seeing an upset here from Ridgeview over the Bulldogs of Camden.
Well, I mean, the way Ridgeview played against Dutch Fork last Friday, as admirable as it was, I think we learned maybe more about Ridgeview than we did Dutch Fork, right? They're coming in there with a backup quarterback who's a sophomore. And congratulations, buddy, one of your first starts in your career gets to be against Dutch Fork. Good luck. And guess what? It's a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and we have a dogfight going in late into that game. I think that did say more about the Blazers of Ridgeview, and I think that's why they can be 1-2 and still be in the top 10 in the state. I think they've proven themselves, even in their losses this year, to be a team that's never going to be out of the game.
I'd agree with that, and they might be without Christian Jackson tonight. Had a shoulder injury last week against Dutch Fork. They went down several linemen late in that ball game as well, so health is going to be key for them tonight. But I agree with you, Elijah. We learned a lot about Ridgeview last week. I don't know how much we learned about Dutch Fork. Honestly, I know Coach Knotts was very unhappy with his secondary and simply said, we're going to get it corrected. So my condolences to Gray Collegiate tonight. However, we definitely learned more about the Blazers than we did the Silver Foxes. And I like Ridgeview a lot more now post Dutch Fork loss than I did before it.
Yeah, certainly. And of course, our man Nathan keeps us abreast as to what's going on with Camden football. What do you like about Camden coming into this game? Because clearly, like they challenge themselves in their non-region play. And I respect that. I love teams that like to push the boundary in non-region play and be able to see what they got coming in to the meat of their schedule. But Camden looking this year to start the year maybe as strong as ever.
Right. They're starting the year stronger than they ever have. Right. Well, it's since 2020, obviously, as I said earlier, at 3-0. You get to that 4-0 start, you're looking ahead to your region slate. You've already played Ridgeview. You've already played on the road in Kellytown at Hartsville. Those are confidence-building wins, even though you gave up 31 to Hartsville. They're confidence-building wins and wins that put you in position to actually, how do I put this, play with the cards closer to your vest as you get into region play because you know who you are. You're not going to go into week 5 next week and really not know who you are.
Yeah, at this point, you know who you are, and a couple of young players. You know, if you have young players on the team, that's what I always like to talk about with any high school football team. If you have a couple of freshmen or sophomores playing, by the time you get into late September, it gets to the point where you're no longer a freshman or sophomore anymore. I had a coach in high school. Once we got to about a quarter of the year, now it's high school basketball, but still the principle applies. We had a lot of young players my first year on varsity. We get to about a quarter of the year, he said, you are no longer a freshman or sophomore. Like, you now have experience to be able to play at this level. You are no longer lost, right? Now we find out here in these next few weeks in region play what a lot of these teams are and what their identity is going to be moving forward. Moving on to some other games, too, for looking at some intrigue. The one that I know our man Uncle Lou Bajak is at tonight. Heathwood Hall at Hammond. Now, Hammond is the juggernaut in Skeeza. The contest has always been who can be the team that gives them the toughest challenge, right? Porter Gowd was that team last year. Haven't been able to break through. Heathwood Hall gets their crack at it tonight. The Fighting Asia Wilsons. What are you expecting from that one, Justin Hall?
Well, I'm thinking Hammond gets a 20th straight win in this series, honestly, and I hate to be that way. But you're looking at a Hammond team that is defensive led this year. Jackson Ross, 21 tackles, 3 QB hurries. They can move the ball when they need to, but they're just so talented on the defensive side. I expect a low-scoring ball game, maybe a 20-17 kind of matchup here. We'll see if that plays out as the case. But I do believe Hammond, especially at home, should have the edge over Heathwood Hall tonight. But again, it remains to be seen. It's a rivalry game. Who knows what happens here in week number 4.
Underrated game tonight on the slate, too. Carolina Forest, always a sneaky team, has to go at Irmo tonight. You want to talk about a team that's battle-tested, that has tested themselves against some of the best, not just in the state of South Carolina, but in the state of North Carolina, too? Irmo's one of those teams. They're 3-0. Carolina Forest also coming in that undefeated club. 2 teams enter. 1 team must leave. Ed Bird will visit one of them. Who does Ed Bird visit tonight?
I think he visits Carolina Forest. Again, I'm not trying to be a Midlands homer, but I really like that Irmo team. Dre Dobson is able to reclassify. He's graduating in December, so he can go. He can actually get on a college campus in January, and he's got offers. Um, they have found their quarterback to replace AJ Brand. Drayvon Dobson is really, really good. We mentioned Shamil Sadiq earlier, and now we mentioned Dre Dobson, two LA Faith Fighters of the Night on the field throughout the season already on this illustrious program. And so that shows you the kind of pride we take in that award. I like the game, though. I think we got an opportunity here, Elijah, for one of those great Friday nights as we get it's 7-11. We're early, but as we get closer and closer to that witching hour, we could be seeing a lot of games coming down the stretch that are we got a lot of candidates for a comeback alert throughout the night. I think we're gonna have a lot of close games tonight.
Vertex PT Specialist is your specialist to help you come back from injury or chronic condition or surgery, whatever it is. Well, they are sponsoring the comeback of the night. We might have a few candidates for that throughout the night. We've had a couple this season so far, including a 20-plus pointer just a couple of weeks ago. Something to keep an eye on tonight as well. Dutch Fork at Gray Collegiate, another great game on the schedule. Gilbert at River Bluff. We have a ton that we're going to keep our tabs on and keep you updated on all the way up until 11 o'clock. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for our LA Faith Fighter of the Night. We'll hear who our fighter of the night is off the field and give you a little inspiration before we start with our slate of games tonight. That is what we got coming up next here in the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on The Game. It's the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Justin Hall. And we have all of the action. Now, some games are going to kick off here in about 15 minutes or so. Some of them will kick off maybe a little closer to 8. Not a ton of uniformity here. But, Justin Hall, I want to get, before we get into anything else, the top 10 rankings specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You do have some good stuff on Bishop England versus Dreer, because we talked about a lot of games. A lot of the games that we talked about in that first segment were things that I talked about with Lou Bejak today. But one that kind of flew under my radar until I saw some of your show notes, Bishop England versus Dreer. Now, Dreer, friends of the show, starting to play some good ball lately. Also friends of the show, Bishop England, the battling bishops of Bishop England, with an insane point differential so far this year. Justin Hall says something's got to give in this game.
Yeah, something does, Elijah. Here's the thing: the battling bishops of Bishop England.
Yes, there you go.
They've only given
emphasis.
Up 6 points this year. Yes, alliteration. They've only given up 6 points this year. 85-6 score differential is insanity. Now, but here's where rubber meets road. Ooh. Last week, our friends Drea, the Fighting Blue Devils, coached by former Gamecock Corey Jenkins, their running back Brandon Mack had 15 touches for $127 and a touchdown. He averaged 8.5 rushing yards in that ball game. Every time Mr. Mack touched the football, he was either achieving a first down or putting you in very good position to pick up said first down on the next play. The team as a whole ran for 249 yards and 3 touchdowns. They had 371 total yards of offense. Why is that important? Last week, Bishop England in that win over Hanahan still gave up 147 yards of rushing when it's sack adjusted. 147. If you let this Dreer team rush for over 140, this game could get tight. Possessions will matter late in the ball game. Can Dreer keep the ball out of the hands of quarterback Quinn Mahoney of the battling Bishops, who, by the way, threw for 244 yards and had 4 touchdowns, but all of those touchdowns were on the ground. It's going to be a fantastic matchup tonight between the battling Bishops of Bishop England and the Drea Blue Devils. I like Bishop England in this ball game. I think they're the better football team. However, you've got an opportunity here if you're Dreer to go on the road and get a signature win over a great football team in the Bishops.
Yeah, and I mean, you sold me on their chances of being able to win this game. So much of football is won on the ground, is the ability to stop the run and be able to run the ball yourself, especially at the high school level where you can maybe manipulate the clock a little bit. Maybe you can keep what is a dominant offense off the field if you can be able to engineer a 12 to 15 play drive. If you can take over half of a quarter of holding onto the ball and limiting your opponent's time of possession, limiting the margin for error that they have in a given football game. That's one reason why I'm really intrigued with this Vanderbilt South Carolina game going on tomorrow night. That's one way that game can get really tricky, is if you end up losing that battle of time of possession and keeping your best player off the field maybe longer than you would like. But that's something to watch for in Bishop England and Dreer as well. Now, when it comes to top 10 rankings across our great state, Justin Hall, the latest that we have in terms of the updates are what?
Well, as our friend Tommy Moody always said, make sure the people know the rankings. So here we go. In Class 5A, Dutch Fork is the number 1 team. Death, taxes, Dutch Fork.
Yeah, classic.
Being ranked number 1. Northwestern is coming in at number 2, followed by Irmo. Greenwood. Can we really quickly talk about Greenwood and that win at Dorman last week? Tristan Lewis set a program record for passing yards and passing touchdowns in that game. Tristan Lewis is committed to play for whom in college?
Oh, you tell me.
The University of South Carolina.
Ah.
All right.
I did not realize that.
As an athlete. All right.
That's
Somerville
amazing.
is number 5. Burns is 6. James Island is 7. Dorman is 8. Gaffney 9. Ridgeview 10. In 4A, South Point, South Florence, North Augusta, AC Flora, Camden, your top 5. Followed by Bishop England, Seneca, Daniel, Midland Valley, Crestwood, and Bluffton tied for the 10 spot. Bluffton is 3-0. They got a very big matchup tonight, do the Bluffton Bobcats. In 3A, BHP, that's Belton Honeypath, is number
know
one,
me.
followed by Woodruff. Right. Woodruff MVP, Mountain View Prep. Loris is 4, Newberry 5, Dillon 6, Oceanside Collegiate, Powdersville, Orangeburg, Wilkinson. Watch out for the Bruins. They could be making a run here late in the season, and Marlboro County coming in at number 10. In 2A, how about this for 2A, Elijah? Of the 7 teams ranked at the top, 6 of them have at least a first place vote. Hampton County, Batesburg, Leesville, Strom Thurmond, Clinton Central, Fairfield Central is 6, Sherrill 7, Barnwell 8, Saluda 9, Timberland 10. And then in Class 1A, Abbeville, Bamberg, Earhart, Cross, Lakeview, and Louisville, your top 5. Latta, Ware Shoals, the Flashes of Johnsonville, known for their brats, coming in at number 8.
Delicious.
HKT at 9, and Carvers Bay, the Bears, at number 10.
And now, one thing I want to get to there, and it's a kind of an observation I've made over the last couple of years. The battle at 2A, maybe the most competitive, where I feel like you might have more of a chance of a magic 8-ball classification, where any given year you can just kind of shake it up and you'll get a different champion there. It's very competitive at the time. You mentioned 6 teams getting first place votes in 2A, and you mentioned the names of the first 5 teams even, and I can't think of one of those teams being absolutely more dominant than the other. I'm pretty infatuated with what 2A's got going on in terms of their battle for the top of that classification.
I would agree with you, Elijah. I think there is something to be said, too, across the board, at least in 2, 3, 4, and 5A. You've got a lot of just parity in high school football right now in this state. I mean, Dillon is 6th in 3A. They're considered the 6th best team in their classification. I would consider them one of the best usually in 3A, but back to 2A, I agree.
It's a capital P program, yeah. And they're 6.
Right. You look at Hampton County at number 1. I want to see what Batesburg-Leesville is coming off of that game last week against Abbeville. But Strom Thurmond, Clinton is 1 and 2 and got boat race last week, and they're still number 4. Central, don't forget Fairfield Central. Sherrill can run the ball all over you. So, yeah, 2A is going to be fun with a capital F as we get into the month of October here in just a couple weeks.
That's when it gets really exciting. Now, the team that you think is the most underrated, you just reeled them all off. The most underrated team.
In 2A?
Despite classification, I'll go all classification. The most underrated team where you saw when those polls are released and the rankings are released, where you thought maybe you're not getting the credit you deserve.
Oh, you put me on the spot. We didn't talk about this before the show.
This is a pop quiz.
Radio.
A pop quiz, as we call it in school.
You've been hanging around Preston Thorne too long.
I have. Yes, I got that educator in me now. I spent 1 year as a special ed teacher's aide, and now I think I'm a teacher.
There you go. That sounds about right. That's how a lot of it goes. Saluda in 2A. I think they're back to playing bully ball a little bit. I like their opportunities down the stretch in region play to really – they're number 9. They're a beauty, but I think they could be ranked higher within a couple of weeks. I like Saluda a lot.
Yeah. And also, it's another program I think you can just kind of believe in on any given year. Right? We have so many of those in the state of South Carolina that are capital P programs. I think Saluda has gotten to the point the last couple of years, at least since I've been here, which has been, we're now on football season number 3, full football season number 3, where I trust the Saluda football program.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would say the number 2 for me in that respect would be a team like Bluffton down in the low country in 4A. They are slinging it. I'm talking averaging over 530 yards a game of offense. If that's sustainable for any length of time post week 4 here, we're talking about a legitimate team down the stretch to make a run in the lower state. I mean, that offense, you can't stop it because not only are there over 530 yards total of offense, it's evenly split running and throwing the football. They've got a team down there on the offensive side of the football. It could be scary.
With some pretty good balance. And balance is a scary thing to have to deal with at the high school football level. But we broke down the games. We broke down the rankings. Now it's time to give you the Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night off the field.
We're recognizing true fighters every week. It's time to name the Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night.
Yes, that's right. We're going to name our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night. And if you're new to the program, this is a double honor. We get to do this at the beginning of the show as we name our off-field fighter, mentioning someone in the community, a child that is battling a serious illness or disease off the field. And then later on tonight, we'll name our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night on the field, where we believe a player has given exceptional effort to catapult their team to new heights due to just true grit and strength. I want to thank Ollie Otter and Meaningful Play, his organization, for sending us. Wait, I don't know. I guess Ollie Otter is I don't know if he's a male otter or not, but I do know that I'm going to say he. And we're excited for what he's doing and helping us out in this. And this is one of my favorite segments every week. But it's also one of my least favorites because these stories are well, there's something. And tonight's is no different. This story comes from the hand of Miss Amber Smith. Amber Smith wrote us this letter about her daughter. And so I want to read what she wrote. I wanted to write this letter in honor of my sweet baby, Aaliyah. Aaliyah is 3 years old, and in March of 2025, she was diagnosed with neuroblastoma cancer. At such a young age, Aaliyah has already been through 10 surgeries, with lots of trips back and forth to doctor's appointments, and she also has to make special trips to Charleston to meet with a specialist. My sweet baby is fighting for her life every day. As this journey continues, me and her 4 siblings plan to stand strong hand in hand. She is a warrior and such a fighter for a 3-year-old. I am so grateful to all our supporters. This diagnosis has been a real eye-opener for me. I am emotionally as well as mentally drained. I would give everything to take my daughter's pain and suffering away. I am determined to not give in, but to push on a steady war against this battle. As her mom, all I want is to soothe my daughter and take away all illness and pain. When I cannot do that, well, it's the most horrible feeling in the world. She means more to me than any amount of money, any job, or any material item or person could mean to anyone. All I want is for my baby to be successfully cancer-free and live a long, happy life. Thank you for taking the time to hear a little of our journey. No words can express my gratitude for your support and kindness. That is from Amber Smith, the mother of Aaliyah Smith. Aaliyah Smith is our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night off the field in week number 4.
I think that's a pretty good illustration to not just what kids like Aaliyah have to go through on a daily basis that even grown adults could never fathom and could never handle in a correct way, right?
Yeah.
I think it also is the perfect illustration of what these parents have to go through to see their child go through something that you will never be prepared to have to do, right? There is no manual for having to go through this. You are not taught what it's like to go through this if you've never have beforehand. You're kind of dealt a hand that you have to be able to respond to and react to in real time and be incredibly strong for your child at an incredibly young age, at 3 years old, and have to walk them through a journey that you never thought you would have to go through and that nobody has the answers for. Aaliyah is incredibly strong to be going through this at 3 years old and to become a shining example of how to face adversity that is, quite frankly, unfathomable. And for Amber to have the courage to be able to reach out and be able to share that story too, and have to take a leadership position in her family that nobody is qualified to do. Nobody is qualified to do. But doing so in the way that you know how, I think is insanely admirable and puts into incredible perspective what other people have to go through on a daily basis and a fight that they have to go through that nobody would wish upon anybody.
No doubt about it. I am, as someone who has watched this up close and personal within the last 4 months, folks, pray for these kids, pray for their families. Their parents need strength. And if you could, we're gonna share Aaliyah's information. I just encourage you to learn more about her, learn more about her story, learn more about her family, and just continue to keep them in prayer. She's 3 years old, guys. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. She's 3 years old. dealing with this. And so the strength she's enduring, the strength she's showing in the battle that she's enduring is mind-boggling, but also just extremely powerful and strengthening to us all. So we appreciate her mom for sending that to us.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Smith, for sending that to us. And we will absolutely, at 1075 The Game on Twitter. If you follow us, if you don't, you should follow us just to be able to get the access to be able to help them in any way, shape, or form that you can. We highly recommend being able to support this family and all the families that we highlight on a weekly basis to be able to do so. So we will put that link out there at 1075 The Game on Twitter to where you can be able to help and support young Aaliyah at 3 years old going through the unimaginable, but also for a way for us to be able to share her story to you, because these are, while they are sad and while it is incredible adversity, they are triumphant in how they are able to be a shining example to be able to go through things that anybody else would consider unimaginable, and certain types of obstacles that we hope nobody ever has to experience, but we know that they do, because that's how life goes. So Amber Smith, thank you so much for sending that in. Aaliyah Smith, you are our fighter off the field for tonight. And later in the night, we will get our Ellie Faith fighter of the night on the field to pair with that. We'll get into a little further in depth onto the football field, take a little bit of a quick pivot here when we return on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on The Game. It's the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Justin Hall. We are getting you set for tonight's high school football action across the great state of South Carolina. Justin, we're about to kick off here in a little bit. Some games might have just kicked off. There's some 7:30 kickoffs around the great state.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of what we are looking for, in terms of maybe advancements, right? We have some inter-region matchups. But what are you kind of looking forward to now that we're starting to kick off a few games? This is the point of the show where I pull up Lou Bajak's Twitter account and we start getting updates, right? Hammond has just taken the field against Heathwood Hall. They're about to kick off. Lexington's at Greenwood tonight. They're about to kick off here in just mere moments. They're about to kick off. It's about time for us to get this thing started. And we already have one result in the books because the Fighting Jake Bentleys and his team at Nation Ford took on Richland Northeast last night. Got a pretty big win. They look to finally start coming together a little bit. That was a really big win for them to be able to put up 50-plus points on the board and show that offense can move a little bit.
No doubt about that. You're talking about a team that really has to get it rolling. Should have probably won in week 1 against Blythewood, and they didn't. But they're starting to put it together now. And again, you're talking about this is the last week before reach and play gets started. You got to get in gear. You got to get in business. And the Fighting Jake Bentleys did that last night. I'll tell you who got into business, and that's Burns. A lot of these games are kicking off. Burns is at Greer tonight, a great matchup, an old school rivalry. Burns wide receiver Chew Harris took the opening kickoff 80 yards and got it down to the Greer 10-yard line. And Newberry has already scored as well in their ball game against Chapin.
Ooh, so we already have some developments. They're going to come in hot and heavy. But because we're going to start getting those here quicker than you might realize, it can be time for us to be able to tell you who is in the undefeated club. Because after 3 weeks of football, we have a few that are still here. Maybe some surprise teams. But it's time to see who Ed Bird has not kicked out of this prestigious club yet. Oh, you hear that music, you know what it means. 50 Cent provided the beat. We'll provide you the info. In Class 5A, Greenwood, still undefeated so far. We also have Eastside. Now, some of these aren't going to be very surprising, right? Some of these, my computer refreshes here. Some of these will not be incredibly surprising. You will have some of the normal suspects on here. Greenwood, Eastside. Fort Mill, the Fighting Jack Veltries have yet to take an L. Does that surprise you, Justin Hall?
Yes. If you'd have told me Fort Mill had 3 wins this season, I would have been surprised. But to be 3-0, I'm very impressed with the Fighting Jack Veltries. And I told him as such today at 10:15 on the extra point.
They're hanging out. They're feeling pretty good about where they're at in the club right now. The Gatorade's flowing. They have not seen a single sight of Ed Bird yet. Indian Land also in the club. They're at 3-0 with a point differential of 114 to 113, a plus 101 point differential for Indian Land right now. That's mightily impressive. Northwestern 3-0 tonight. They get their biggest test so far when they get to play South Point, a game that is always circled on the schedule of Rock Hill football lovers. Irmo and Dutch Fork, to the surprise of absolutely no one, still undefeated after 3 weeks of high school football so far. Sticking in 5A2, Carolina Forest. They get a big test tonight. They're on the road at Irma. We'll see if they're still in the club by the time the next 3 hours rolls around. The last one in 5A, that'd be James Island. They're 3-0 right now, only giving up 16 points so far all season. Now to 5A. We'll start with Seneca and Blue Ridge in Region 2. Seneca with 3 wins, Blue Ridge with 2. Region 3, AC Flora and Camden, both at 3-0. They're in a bit of a collision course. I'd like to see them both undefeated by the time those teams have to play. AC Flora scored 119 points so far in 3 games. They score the points. If Barry Manilow writes the songs, AC Flora scores the points, my friends. In Region 4, North Augusta still hanging good at 3-0, and so is Midland Valley at 3-0. Region 5 in 4A, Crestwood, the only undefeated team so far. The Fighting John Morants are 3-0. Bluffton at 3-0 and Bishop England at 2-0. Those are the only undefeated teams left in Region 6 4A. Now we go to 3A. Justin Hall, you down with BHP?
Always.
Yeah, you know me. They're 3-0 right now in Region 1 3A. Mountain View Prep, the MVPs, if you will. Them and Woodruff are the lone 3-0 teams in Region 3 3A. Newberry and Swansea at 3-0 in Region 4 3A, but Fox Creek 2-0 as well. In that same region, hanging around. Swansea's got a big game against Pillion tonight at home. That's one I'm definitely locked in on. After 3 games, Justin Hall, how many points has Swansea surrendered this year? If you had to guess.
It's not a lot. 13?
Oh, you can almost cut that in half. It's 7.
Whew.
That's Swansea defense. No joke. In Region 5 3A, Loris still undefeated. They're at 3-0 right now. And Orangeburg Wilkinson in Region 6 3A, they're the lone undefeated team at 2-0. Now we go to 2A. We're in Region 2, Pillion at 2-0, Saluda at 2-0, and Strom Thurmond all at 2-0 right now. Again, that aforementioned game that I talked about, Pillion at Swansea, that's a pretty big deal tonight because both of those teams are undefeated. 2 teams can enter. Only 1 team can leave undefeated unless they tie. But I don't foresee that happening. We like to play overtimes in high school football. One of them will get a visit from Ed Bird later tonight. In Region 5, Hampton County still hanging in there at 3-0. Timberland in Region 6, them and Woodland, the 2 representatives in Region 6 2A in the undefeated club. East Clarendon still yet to take a loss. They've played 3 games. They've only given up 6 points so far this year. And talking about hot defensive starts, East Clarendon definitely on that list. Now we'll go to 1A. Ware Shoals hanging out at 3-0 in Region 1. It takes us all the way down to Region 4 for 1A until we get to another 1A undefeated club member because Bamberg Earhart sitting at 3-0 right now. They've been dominant in a few of their games. Then you get to Region 6 1A. This is where things get really interesting. Carvers Bay, Johnsonville, shout out to those brats, and Latta, all 3-0. And then you have Lakeview at 2-0. So we have a whopping 4 teams in Region 6 single A that have yet to take a loss. Now we'll go down to Skeeza. In Skeeza Class 4 1A, Hammond and Northwood Academy at 3-0. Hammond's got that big matchup against Heathwood Hall tonight to try to remain in this prestigious club. We get down to Skeeza Region 2 3A. Wilson Hall at 3-0. They're undefeated. So is Florence Christian, also 3-0. They've played in some pretty tight games so far. Region 1 AA. Bethesda Academy sitting at 2-1 or 2-0. They would not be in this club if they were 2-1. Absolutely not.
That would be disqualifying.
Yes, that would be a disqualifier. That would mean you got a visit from Ed Bird. Skeeza Region 2 AA. Calhoun Academy, the lone representative at 3-0. Williamsburg Academy and Dorchester Academy. Williamsburg at 3-0. Dorchester at 2-0. They are the representatives from Skeeza Region 1A. And then Skeeza Region 2A, Beaufort Academy at 4-0. Not many teams that we've talked about in the undefeated club have had to stay in the club despite 4 full games played. Beaufort Academy is one of those. Now we get into 8-man Region 1. You ready to get a little weird? Lawrence Academy and WW King Academy, 3-0 so far. They have yet to take an L. Region 2 of the 8-man Skeeza division, Holly Hill Academy, sitting at 3-0. And then our last 2 representatives so far in the 8-man undefeated club. This is 8-man Independence. Greenville Hurricanes, they're 2-0. Community Christian is 1-0. And those are the teams still remaining in this prestigious club. The more we get into this thing, Justin Hall, the more slim this club is going to get. Fire marshal doesn't have to be called right now because the population in there, the capacity, will no longer be reached.
We're getting a smaller sampling and a smaller spattering of teams. That'll continue to decrease. How about this, Elijah? I'm going to give you 2 scores before we get out of here on a break. Swansea has given up how many points this season?
7.
They've already given up 7 tonight to the Fighting Corey Helms of Pillion. It is 7-0 Pillion halfway through the first quarter. And first quarter at Greenwood, the Wildcats of Lexington are up 3-0.
Don't look now. I mean, Lexington's one of those teams, even in a down year, if they have a down year, I know it's a transition season for them. It's still a very large school. They have a really good athletic pool to pull from on a yearly basis. That's going to maybe keep you into some games, right? That's one to keep an eye on right now. 3-0. I think we've established once you get outside of a one-score game, we can really Vertex PT specialist come back watch it.
Absolutely.
But that's one to keep an eye on. We're already getting a ton of scores rolling in. We will keep you updated starting next here on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. And the scores are already rolling in. Games have been playing for about 19 minutes now. A lot of them have been. In Justin Hall, we're already getting some updates.
Yeah, we certainly are. I want to give a shout out to our buddy Mark. He already sent us one update, and I had to respond with the gif of Fraser Crane saying, "I'm listening." It's 14-0.
That's the theme of the year for Chapin, I'm afraid.
It's 14-0 Newberry. They just scored on a 49-yard quarterback draw. I don't even have words for that, honestly. And their first play from scrimmage was a 95-yard catch and run on a wide receiver screen. I mean, you can't make it up for Chapin right now. Ben Lippen is up 7-0 on Cardinal Newman. Pillion was up 7-0, but Swansea has responded at 7-6. Kendall Wright with a 65-yard touchdown run for Swansea on the answer there.
I think it counts as
And
an
so we got-
explosive play.
Yeah, I would consider that an explosive. I think that counts. Hammond fumbled on their first play play from scrimmage. But I do not see where Heathwood was able to cash in for points, but that game has already gone a little sideways. Touchdown Lexington, according to our buddy Bill up in Greenwood. So it's now 10-0 Wildcats. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. I'm not ready to do Vertex PT Specialist comeback alert yet. We're in the first quarter. You need to be 2 scores and into the second quarter if we're gonna go with a comeback alert there. We need a little bit more time, but I don't want to even say pucker factor yet. I am a little. I'm beginning to get concerned.
I think it's a factor right now.
Yeah. It's definitely we're not at DEFCON level yet, but we're concerned. Ridgeview has scored a pick 6, and they lead Camden 7-0 in that ball game.
Ooh, that was one that we've been keeping our eyes on. That's the Justin Hall game of the night in terms of one that's really tickled your fancy the most in terms of intrigue. Camden with a pick 6, or you said Ridgeview with a pick 6. I might have heard that.
Yes, Ridgeview with a pick 6 of Camden. How about this one? No score between Northwestern and South Point right now. We're trending toward ugly, like trending toward a puncher's battle here. Stallions got across midfield, but they turned it over on 4th down. The Trojans got it across midfield, but they were forced to punt it away. They got, Northwestern had the ball at the Stallion 21. They're just outside of the 10 right now, so Northwestern's going in, trying to score to make it at least 6-0, extra point or 2-point conversion pending. But again, I'm thinking we're going to get into a little boxing match there, and we could have a low-scoring affair between Northwestern and South Point. Defense right now.
Especially from South Point, that's the game that they want if they want to be able to win this game. I mean, they had a starting quarterback at the beginning of the year who is no longer on the team, has transferred to Keenan. And Xavier Currents, Gamecock commit, now having to play quarterback for them. Defensive back prospect. He is fantastic on the defensive side of the ball, but there's a lot of having to just figure it out on the offensive side of the ball for South Point. If South Point's to win this game, they probably need that game total to be south of 25 points, if I'm having to guess.
I would agree with you on that one. Absolutely. I got an update from Chester Brian on Twitter. How about this one? Just a beautiful night up in Chester. They lead 7-0 in their ball game right now, 7-0. Caleb Feaster, a 43-yard house call. 54 yards on 2 carries for Caleb Feaster up at Chester. I like those numbers. I like those average splits, if you're asking me. End of quarter number 1 at South Point and Northwestern, scoreless at the end of the first quarter between those two teams.
Now, I want to kind of get back to that Ridgeview-Camden game. A pick 6 for Ridgeview to start things off. Ridgeview defensively, pretty sound. That's another team figuring it out on offense. Having to have a backup quarterback play the entire season. You lose your starter very early into the year. Before you get to the halfway point of September, there's a large element of having to figure out what your offensive identity is. In a game against Camden, where Camden does have some offensive firepower, them getting a defensive score early seems pretty significant.
It does. You're going to allow your quarterback to play a little bit freer. He's going to have an opportunity to settle in, already up a possession, and you've got an opportunity just to let him play ball against a very, very good and very well-coached Camden defense. He has an opportunity to play loose, to play free, to get out in space, make throws, make things happen. And again, he's completing passes at a 62% clip, Mr. Campbell. He's no slouch,
right?
As a fill-in quarterback, and he's going to be there for the rest of the season. So he's only going to get better with more and more reps. So I like the position they're in. I do have to regretfully report, according to Twitter, that the Westwood Warhawks lead the Airport Eagles 14-0 in the first quarter. Carry on.
I know you regretfully have to report that. Are you regretfully surprised by that?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not at all. Touchdown Greenwood, it is 10-7.
Oh, see, yeah. the thing with Greenwood, that team is good enough to where they can go down 10-0 to Lexington, and I'm not immediately going to bury them.
Exactly, and because their defense is really good and can start to bow up. Their defense can really start to clamp down on that Wildcat offense, and their offense, as we saw last week at Dorman, they can pop. We had a conversation earlier this week, a friend of mine and I, about Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, that Vanderbilt can matriculate the ball down the field, if you will, but they can also pop you for a 40-yarder if you're not careful. Greenwood's kind of the same thing. They have a Swiss Army knife offense where they can do a little bit of both, and they can really hurt you with both. And again, a 10-0 deficit is nothing. We're not even in the second quarter yet up in Greenwood, and the Eagles have a chance to really get back in this ball game. They are now, and have a chance to pull ahead here with just one touchdown.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about the South Carolina-Vanderbilt game as the night rolls on, especially once we hit into maybe some of the lulls that naturally come while doing a high school football scoreboard show. Yeah, Vanderbilt, maybe the one thing that separates them a little bit this year than last year is that they can hit you over the head with a few explosive plays. That's the thing. They are known for moving the ball up and down the field rather methodically. Yeah. But Junior Sherrill's a legit outside threat, man. Eli Stowers is a big play threat if he can break a couple tackles. Vanderbilt's got some weapons. They got some weapons where they can be a little more explosive than what we may think of them going into this game tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll give you my thoughts later on. Obviously, I know we got to hit a break here in just a few seconds. I'll give my thoughts later, but let's just say, folks, if you've been listening to this show for any length of time, you know my staunch support as an alum and as a lifelong fan, but I am honest, and I am honestly telling you, I have great trepidation about this game tomorrow in Williams-Brice. I am so serious. Both schools, Carolina and Clemson, tomorrow are in for dog fights, and neither team may come out unscathed.
Yeah, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech are kind of spiritually siblings. They are football spiritual siblings in that regard. They are going to be really tough. Before we hit this break, we do have a report into the first quarter. This is from Zach Wofford on Twitter. Thank you, Zach. Clinton 7, Chapman nothing. So Clinton's still highly ranked in their classification despite a couple of early season losses. They're the defending state champs. They are up on Chapman right now, 7-0 at the end of one. We will have more scores and more from around the great state of South Carolina when the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show continues. Why, yes, it is. the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show. And we kind of keep you updated all throughout the world of football because there's some college football played tonight right now, too. On ESPN, Colorado is at Houston. Houston with a 3-0 lead. They score on their first drive. They took a long time to get down the field. They kicked a field goal, though, and Colorado finally has the ball with 5:48. They have a 3rd and 2 right now, so that's a college game to keep up with. We have plenty of scores from around the state of South Carolina right now. When we went to the break, Greenwood trailing Lexington 10-7. And it looks like Irmo, after Carolina Forest scored a touchdown, tied things up at 7. Dre Dobson throws another passing touchdown. The Yellow Jackets lead 14-7 at the moment. And things have gotten from bad to worse for Chapin. Newberry, another touchdown. This is a wide receiver screen that goes the house from 50 yards out. Newberry, with 5 minutes to go in quarter number 1, leads 21-0.
I have a piece of information, Mr. Campbell, that might be of interest to you and the folks listening at home. 2:39 to go in the first quarter. The Silver Foxes of Dutch Fork have scored 14 points. The War Eagles of Gray Collegiate have also scored 14 points. They are tied at 14 with 2:39 to go in the first quarter. I don't know how those scores accumulated for Gray. If I'm a Dutch Fork fan, I'm a little concerned if those are through the air that the secondary issues are not being handled by the Silver Foxes right now. Again, tie ball game at 14 apiece as they near the end of the first quarter. And Heathwood Hall leads 7-0, and they got a stop on 4th down, so they have the ball and the lead at 7-0 as they head toward the second quarter.
Yeah. Man, going back to that Dutch Fork Gray game right now, if there's an exploitable part of Tom Knotz's defense, that's something to keep an eye on as the season kind of rolls on. I expected Dutch Fork to win this game by a few scores. I understand the intrigue of this game, but man, I tied at 14 right now. If they have a hard time stopping them, that puts just a lot more stress on your offense and a first-year starting quarterback that they have.
No question. And then you're talking about just getting into shootouts where you feel like you have to score every single time you touch the football. Just makes it so incredibly difficult for any quarterback in any offense, but specifically an offense and a quarterback that's under first-year leadership under center. Well, I say under center, but in the shotgun or whatever you want to look at. The quarterback position is being played by a first-year starter. It can make things incredibly difficult for your offense. Maybe not play to play or drive to drive, but just week to week, having to deal with that each and every Friday night. Again, you just need your secondary to bow up a couple of times and you'll be fine, create some separation. But if you can't get that stop, Elijah, as they couldn't last week until the end of the ball game, that game against Ridgeview was back and forth, and Ridgeview had an opportunity to tie it or win it, and you escaped. Tonight, you might not be able to do that. Long way to go, but that is a. Again, I'm not going pucker factor here, but I have concerns. I'll put it that way. I have deep concerns right now.
It's not quite the 2 eyeball emoji to describe this game, but it's a right now. We have a few games that are at status. Lexington and Greenwood being one of those games. Lexington up 10-7 on Greenwood right now. We finally have a score in Northwestern in South Point. 25-yard field goal gives the Trojans, Northwestern High School, the Fighting David Clonagers, if you will, a 3-0 lead. That comes from our pal Chris Miller. So we finally have somebody breaking the scoreless tie. Again, if South Point, to me, wants to win this game, this is when they kind of have to keep in the mud, right? And part of keeping Northwestern in the mud is keeping Northwestern out of the end zone. They might have given up points there, but I feel like that is not the worst-case scenario for South Point.
No question, it is not. And again, South Point's MO in any sort of situation, in any sort of football game, is to kind of keep it in the mud. It's been their MO for quite some time. And keeping it in the mud for Northwestern, too, is trying to keep their offense off the field. If you can limit Xavier Means' times of touching the football, you've got an opportunity to make some things happen. I I do have an update for you. This is outside of the high school ranks, but Pete Nakos with On 3 has reported, and it is cited in the injury report, Clemson tomorrow at noon against Georgia Tech will be without starting wideout Antonio Williams, starting safety Khalil Barnes, and starting left tackle Tristan Lee.
Ooh, a game that is already of real intrigue just because of the obvious, which is what Georgia Tech likes to do with the football and what Georgia Tech's identity is, and how whenever they line up, they're a threat because they know how to
Run the ball.
That makes it a little more of a pucker factor for our friends in the upstate. Khalil Barnes is a fantastic safety. They've had some issues with the offensive line in terms of establishing any type of run game for Clemson so far. And I think not having Antonio Williams out on the perimeter has been a big factor as to why the offense has kind of underperformed. That's something to watch for. And that's why, for those who follow point spreads as they kind of evolve throughout the week, Georgia Tech has slowly gotten down from where it was 3.5 Clemson favored today. That number is now at 2.5. And I think that injury report might be a reason why that number has kind of gotten down a little bit.
It certainly is. I've got an update from Ridgeview and Camden. I appreciate my buddy Steve for sending this to me. Aiden Keefe with a strong run for the first down. Ridgeview gets the ball to the 38-yard line of Camden. The next play, Ashton Chapman to Omar Johnson, touchdown, and the 2-point conversion as well. It is 15-0 Ridgeview in the second quarter.
Yeah, Camden. Yeah, now I am comfortable saying that this is a Vertex PT Specialist comeback watch just because they have reached our criteria. It's 15-0 Ridgeview right now. I think we know what Camden can do and what their capabilities are. Something to watch for later on in the night. Our man, Cale Wilson, is out right now. We have a first quarter update from him. He is at Aiken versus Lugoff Elgin. After one quarter of play, Cale Wilson, how are we looking?
So, guys, it is 3rd down and 14 from the 19-yard line in Lugoff Elgin territory for Aiken. We're sitting at 7-0 Aiken on the board. The only score is a 30-yard pick six by Cam Kitching. I know I mentioned him in the pregame analysis. He's made a huge impact already, and there has been a lot of trash talk and intensity in this game, just the first 12 minutes.
Ooh, what have you seen so far from Lugoff Elgin? That's one thing you mentioned about their passing game. Clearly, there has been one mishap in the passing game, which is allowed for her game's only score. But outside of the mishap, have they been able to move the ball maybe in a way that you might have hypothesized coming into the game?
So one of the things that really surprised me is I didn't see Eric Richardson play in the first quarter. He just took the field for the second quarter, so I'm not really sure why that was. Shamil Sadiq, the guy that's committed to Lenore Ryan, number 1. I know I mentioned him once in the pregame analysis, but he had 2 targets as Aiken just scored a touchdown on a 19-yard pass, so the Hornets lead 14-0 now if they make the extra point.
Okay, wow. There are some further developments right there. Very early in the second quarter, Aiken leads Lugoff Elgin 14-0. Cale, appreciate the work. If anybody is intrigued with this game and they want to be able to keep up with it live on the World Wide Web, where do they do it?
We will be live streaming this game on Savage College Football on Instagram. Come and watch the live stream and listen to the 107.5 The Game High School Scoreboard Show. Have yourself a little high school football party, whether if you're by yourself or with all your friends.
Oh, I love it. A good way to simulcast. Cale Wilson. Cale, appreciate the updates, brother. Good stuff there from Cale, as always. 14-0 in that one. That one I felt would be really competitive. Lugoff Elgin, though, showing you that mistakes and turnovers early can be awfully costly when you're playing a team that is of your caliber.
Correct. And I just want to mention that you're never alone if you're watching or listening to our program. I'll let you know that. You're never alone. We're always down for a high school football party. Yeah, turnovers, mistakes, mental lapses are going to do you in games where you're facing a team that is at your caliber or maybe a tad bit better, or playing with just belief, Mr. Campbell. The Aiken Fighting Green Hornets are playing with belief. Mm-hmm. They had a longer losing streak than Spring Valley coming into this season, broke that losing streak in week 1. They're playing really inspired football. Another team that's playing inspired football is Swansea. DeAndre Caldwell, 2 yards out, 2-point attempt is no good. Swansea leads Pillion 12-0. 8-7 at the end of one, but Pillion is driving. They got the ball inside of Swansea territory when they come back to start the second quarter.
Ooh, see, that one was started with some intrigue early because Pillion didn't waste much time getting on the scoreboard, right? We talked about in the undefeated club segment, Swansea in 3 games only giving up 7 points. The defense has looked dominant. Pillion did not care. They go in, they score a touchdown to start the game, but then Swansea settles in. They score a couple touchdowns. This is a massive drive for the Panthers.
Massive drive. You've got to respond here. You're already in opposition territory. You're already in plus territory is the new lingo that we like to use quite a bit around these parts. You've got to cash in on that. You at least need points on this drive. Swansea can score with the best of them. We should be hearing from Brady Henderson, their PA announcer, at halftime and at the end of the ball game. So we'll look forward to that. First-time caller, by the way. I don't know about long-time listener, but happy to get him on board this season, giving us updates from Swansea home games as they finally get into their season and start to get rolling. Excited about that. But, yeah, we'll see what they do here on this drive. Pillion, in that case, got to get points on this drive. Got to keep it within a 4-point range here. Corey Helms has offense down in Pillion. They can score points with the best of them, and Swansea in this case is kind of the best of them when it comes to that caliber and that level of football.
Yeah, right now more updates after 1 quarter in the Swamp. River Bluff and Gilbert still scoreless. And as I say that, I get a text on my personal text line from my dog John Carlos. He is taking photos for that game for the state newspaper. We have a rushing touchdown. Gilbert leads 7-0 on the road at River Bluff. That's one to keep an eye on right there, too. I know Perry Parks is trying to figure out what his team's identity is going to be coming into the season. They took their lumps, especially in the first game of the year against Rock Hill. A lot of operational issues, but they were able to get that rectified, be able to get a big win against Brooklyn Casey, trying to see what they can do tonight against Gilbert, but they're going to have to do so from behind to start this game.
They're going to have to. I've got another one for you, Mr. Campbell. Ridgeview now leads 22-0 in the second quarter. They're scoring fast. They're scoring often. Here's why. Thanks to Steve as well. He hosts some show called 4 Quarter Friday. 3rd and long play for Camden. Bobbled snap. Remph gathers it. Pocket collapses. Strip sack. Scoop and score. 22-0 Blazers over Camden. And we can now officially, Mr. Campbell, put this one on Vertex PT Specialist comeback alert, simply because that's what it's going to have to be if Camden's going to win this ball game.
You're going to have to erase a 22-point deficit. And look, here's the thing. Again, we talked about this earlier. In games where you're playing somebody of equal caliber to you, equal firepower, equal talent levels, you can't give away points. Camden had that pick 6 to start the game, and now a bobbled snap results in a strip sack that was scooped and scored. And now you're looking down the barrel of a 3-score deficit right now. That's tough to come back from. Even if you're playing a sophomore quarterback who is making his first season as a starter and had to kind of be thrust into action because of an injury, it's still going to be almost feeling insurmountable because right now you're not giving yourself much confidence that you can just run the plays you want to because of a bobbled snap, because of a pick 6. Camden's a really good football team, Justin Hall, but you give a team like Ridgeview and spot them 22 points, I almost don't care how good your football team is. That's tough to come back from.
It really is. And not to mention this Gilbert game, you mentioned it earlier, 7-0. Just want to give a uniform report. The Gilbert Indians are in red helmets, white jerseys, white pants on the road. That's a look, if you ask me. And I talked about this game earlier today. I really like Gilbert on the road here against River Bluff, a River Bluff team that is still trying to find their way after a lot of seniors departed the program due to graduation.
Yep.
That's how high school football works.
The natural cycle of things. Yeah.
I hope that never changes. Gilbert has challenged themselves early. I really like where the Indians are as a program under Coach Oz. And a win on the road at River Bluff, no matter what you think about River Bluff, for a team like Gilbert would be huge going into that region where pound for pound is the toughest one in the state.
Couple more updates right now. Ben Lippen up on Cardinal Newman, 21-0. That's in the second quarter. We also have some further developments with the BC Bearcats, maybe one of the best coaching staffs, pound for pound, in the state right now. They have quite the rebuilding project that they are working on right now. They trail May River 21-7. It's a really good May River team. And we have a score in the South Point Northwestern game. This is from Chris Miller from WRHI. A touchdown pass from Jazavian Currents to Ratliff gives South Point a 6-3 lead over Northwestern. So we talked about that one really needing to be a defensive struggle for South Point to be able to win that. Well, they got a touchdown, which we figured might be few and far in between, just given the health of that offense right now. Gamecock commit, who is normally on the defensive side of the ball, Jazavian Currents, getting it done in the air to give South Point a 6-3 lead in that one. We're going to keep another eye on that. As the night goes along, we have more scores and other updates from around the great state of South Carolina coming up next on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. That's right. More scores and updates for you. We'll pivot to the college ranks for a second because Houston has scored a touchdown. They're up 10-0 on Colorado right now, 1:33 to go in the first quarter. Houston, well, looking at a 3rd and 23 after an offensive pass interference penalty where you cannot block somebody when the ball is yet to be in the air. So that is something you cannot do. That is football 1-on-1 or 101. We also have some other scores for you right now. This coming from our man Lou Bajak. Blythewood High School, the Bengals up 14-6 on Keenan. That game is in the second quarter. And it looks like Carolina Forest has tied the game with Irmo. That was a 14-7 Yellow Jacket lead. Carolina Forest has tied things up at 14. Looks like the Yellow Jackets are going to be in it with a run for their money to stay in the undefeated club. Battled two teams that are looking to avoid a visit from Ed Bird.
I will tell you this, Mr. Campbell, being here in beautiful St. Simon's Island is nice and all, but I have a
you have
lesson
the Hawaiian
from the
shirt
beach.
on and everything too.
I do what I can. The tide in the ocean, the tide comes in, the tide goes out. It comes in, it goes out. I believe the tide is in tonight when it comes to upset potential across the state. I've just got a feeling we're at the hour and a half mark of this program. I'm not trying to oversell because I don't want to underdeliver. But the games that we thought would be really good are really, really good, and for different reasons. How about this? Swansea, 20. Pillion, 14. Pillion scored to take the lead 14-12, and on the very first play from scrimmage for the Tigers of Swansea, they score, take the lead back, 2-point conversion. It is 20-14 with 8.5 minutes to go in the half. Swansea and Pillion, it's going to be a shootout down there at Swansea. Those two teams are going back and forth, trading haymakers right now.
Yeah, that one's one that was my favorite game going into the night, just because I love battles between small communities, especially when they're in really close proximity, especially when they're in the same county. I love that type of stuff. I eat it up. And both Pillion and Swansea have been able to put products on the field this year that have delivered, that will give us a really good game tonight. We're going to keep tabs on that one as the night rolls along. We have our first call on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines from Roger. Roger, welcome to the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show. What do you have for us so far today?
Yeah, I have a score. I'm going to put up 34. Cutting the whole nut in the second quarter. Have a shout out for USC quarterback Lenore Sellers. He will get 3 touchdowns, about 250 yards, and they're going to win against Lavender.
Now, are those 3 touchdowns all through the air, or is that a combination of passing and rushing touchdowns?
Combination of pass and rush.
Okay. 250 yards through the air and at least 3 touchdowns. Roger, thank you for your call, good sir. Roger's feeling pretty good about that game at Willie B tomorrow night.
Listen, Roger, and here's where I start to sow seeds of why I'm feeling concerned. If Lenore Sellers has 3 touchdowns tomorrow, it means South Carolina would have scored more offensive touchdowns and more offensive points in this game than they have in any of the previous 4 games. That's Clemson, that's Illinois, that's Virginia Tech, and that's SC State. In the last 4 games, folks, South Carolina has only scored 17 points offensively in each of those 4 games. That's it, 17. That's the mark. That's the number. And I get the Superman plays from Lenore's withstanding again in that Clemson game. I'm almost at I have to see it to believe it status right now, folks. But that'd be a good day. That'd be a good day if Lenore's comes out of there with 3 touchdowns. If he does, I like South Carolina's odds to win that ball game.
Yep, certainly. That's a formula.
I'm just concerned. That's all I'll say. I'm just concerned.
I'll say you need more out of Lenore's. Preston and Jen and I, we played a clip this morning from Shane Beamer at Carolina Calls last night saying that Lenore's has been good enough. And I think as a show, we reached a consensus that it needs to be a little better than good enough now that you're in SEC play. Lenore Sellers is your separator, right? The S in Sellers, to me, stands for separator, right? That is the one advantage that you will have over anybody that you play is consistently you will have the best player in the game suiting up for you. Put him in a position to succeed. Give him some design quarterback runs. Let him bail out of the pocket if he doesn't see anything he likes. Let Lenore Sellers be Lenore Sellers. If you do that, I think you should be able to score the adequate amount of points required to win this game. Vanderbilt's going to score on you a couple times. I don't think you're going to extend that starter shutout streak in terms of keeping people out of the end zone. And as Tyler had pointed out to me in the press box, the South Carolina State game, because the Bulldogs scored their touchdown at 12:02, that your streak of keeping teams out of the end zone on Saturdays, I think that one gets snapped. You can't keep that one forever. But Vanderbilt's going to score a few times, and they're going to do so while milking some clock away. You got to be able to get Lenore's to do what he does. He needs to be Superman.
I think the big thing here, Elijah, and I know this is a high school show, and I do have an update for you, but I will just say this about the offense for South Carolina, and this is what I've noticed watching the last 2 games, and really the bowl game I'm going to put to the side. The offense feels like you're driving down I-26 or I-20 in the state of South Carolina. Things are very congested. And it feels like you're being funneled into 2 lanes when really what I would like to do is I would like to cross the state line into North Carolina or Georgia or Florida and widen that baby out to about 4 lanes and get things a little bit more spread out. Now we got room to operate. This offense is in a choke point right now, and you've got to be able to get on the perimeter, use the speed. I'm telling you, Donovan Murphy is flashing on the outside. I really like what he's doing at the wide receiver position. I believe he starts tomorrow night.
I think so,
but you've got to get Lenoris Sellers moving the football. If not, design runs, like you said, Mr. Campbell. Move the pocket.
Yeah.
Get him in rhythm. Get him in motion to allow him to make some plays. He can be Picasso back there in that he can turn bad plays into something good, maybe even something great. We've seen it happen. But how about you just set him up with something good and see what can happen?
Play to his strengths.
I like that.
You've seen plenty of it. We have some updates for you right now. Dutch Fork was currently, or what, not currently, a little redundant of a sentence there, was in a 14-14 game against Gray Collegiate. Well, they have now taken a 21-14 lead. We'll see if this defense and that secondary specifically holds Gray throughout the rest of the game, but the Silver Foxes have gained a 7-point advantage so far. Chapin is on the board, but they still trail, Newberry 31-7. That Ridgeview Camden game, Justin Hall.
Ooh, buddy.
We thought it was bad. We thought Camden might have been in bad shape when they got down 22-0. Well, tack on 7 more. Ridgeview has found the end zone again. They're 29-0. And I never thought I would say this, Justin Hall, but a team that is 1-2, that was still ranked in the top 10 of their classification, might actually have been underrated.
I would think that this is the opportune time, everyone. This is the opportune time for me to remind you that you are not always what your record says you are.
Absolutely. Bill Parcells is a liar.
I'm putting that out there.
You have lied, Bill Parcells.
The Bill Parcells theory is wrong.
I do. I'm with you there. I am a firm believer that is absolutely not always the case. Now, here's an interesting thing right now, Justin Hall. South Point Northwestern. Game started with Northwestern kicking a 25-yard field goal, meaning their offense got all the way down to the goal line, essentially, but kept out of the end zone. South Florence scores a touchdown with a Jazavian Currents touchdown pass. Northwestern has to settle for another field goal from 22 yards out. That game is tied at 6, but based off our context clues here, Northwestern's been able to move the ball incredibly well. South Point's defense is bending, but it is not breaking. And that is why we're at a 6-6 game right now. Just judging on the updates we've gotten so far, this is really playing into South Point's hands.
It really is. This game is sizing up to be a game where they can take control of it in the second half. I don't doubt Coach Wolford's Trojans either. I think Xavier Means is a fantastic quarterback, and they've got a track record at Northwestern of being just a really good program. And I don't think that a 6-6 game tells me they're going to lose this one, but it's trending toward a solid game plan for South Point, and then being able to capitalize on what they want to make this ball game. They want to make it a slugfest. They want to make it a defensive battle, and they're doing that in a 6-6 ball game. I once again have to regretfully report that with 2:53 left to go in the first half, the Warhawks of Westwood lead 34-7 over the Airport Eagles.
And the rebuild is going to continue for another year, I'm afraid.
Yes, it is.
For Airport. A little bit of a transition year. Now, earlier, we left you with Gilbert scoring and striking first against River Bluff in the Swamp. Well, we can now tell you with 26 seconds on the clock to go in the first half, touchdown pass, River Bluff. We're tied at 7. More than likely, we'll be heading to the halftime locker room over in the Swamp with River Bluff and Gilbert tied at 7.
That would be, again, an incredible win for Gilbert. However, River Bluff does have speed. They have athletes on the outside, and they can get back into ball games like this. I expect this to be another knockdown, drag-out fight as you move toward the third quarter, late third quarter, going into the fourth. You're going to have opportunities to really see this game come down the stretch and be a wild one there over at the Bluff.
Would it surprise you, Justin Hall, that I tell you that AC Flora has put up 14 first-quarter points?
No, because that's what they do.
Yeah, they score the points that make the whole world sing. AC Flora, the Fighting Tommy Moody's, they end the first quarter with a touchdown. They lead the Fighting David Dares of Lawrence 14-0. We have so many more scores to get to. We will give those to you on the other side as you're listening to the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. Why, yes, it is, Chris Logan. The High School Football Scoreboard Show here on the game. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Justin Hall. We're giving you scores, and we have updates. Remember when I said Carolina tied this thing up 14-all against Irmo?
I do remember that.
Old enough to remember that one?
Yeah.
Well, in just a handful of plays here, Irmo takes a 28-14 lead. Woo. Trey Dobson throws an absolute dart. Looks like that thing was a pass across the middle. Definitely a zone defense there for Carolina Forest. Trey Dobson threads a needle. Now, I'm trying to do the quick math here. It's about 20 yards down the field. Threads the needle. Guy catches the ball, takes it to the distance. Now, Irmo's got a 2-touchdown lead. Incredibly impressive. Two teams that are still in the undefeated club. Maybe we can tab a Vertex PT specialist comeback watch on that just because Carolina Forest is a solid team, but I think the likelihood of that very small. If we're doing the whole weather thing, it's definitely nowhere near a warning, definitely maybe nowhere near a watch, but it's one thing where it's like 10% on the forecast for a comeback.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're definitely not already in a severe thunderstorm watch, but you are in the state of South Carolina, and it's July, so you kind of wake up every day going, I've at least got a 20% chance of rain today. I think that's where we are there. Halftime between Northwestern and South Point, that game's tied at 6. If you like defense, you're welcome. That's the game for you. That
Preston
game
Thorne, tune in.
A slugfest in that ball game for sure. Here's the point I want to make about a couple of these games is Dutch Fork now leads 21-14. And I think I've said this already, Mr. Campbell. Every game that we thought had potential to be intriguing, interesting, close, has been those things. And if memory serves, we've kind of hit on the style each game has been so far. We even said at the top of this program, if you missed it, don't go back and watch it now. Go back and do it later, maybe tomorrow morning. We said at the top of the show, first hour, first couple of minutes, that this South Point Northwestern game had a chance to be a defensive struggle, and it's turned out to be that. Bend but don't break defense from South Point has put them in good position. Northwestern is playing really good defense as well. Let's not put that past them. That
certainly.
They've really been able to control Xavier Currents so far. These games are playing out about how we expected them, and that's a good thing because we expected all of these games to really perform and give us a lot of good content, if you will. I'm just being honest. How about this one? Heathwood Hall and Hammond. Heathwood Hall's up 7-6 at half.
They are. And I will say this is a tush push. I'm looking at the formation right now, their video from our man Lou Bejak. This definitely looks like a tush push because you got the guys behind the quarterback. There is some pushing of the tush here to get into the end zone. But the extra point, no good. They scored that touchdown with a little under 17 seconds to go in the half. Heathwood Hall, though, for most of that first half, had the lead. Hammond's had a couple of turnovers. Hammond might be in a little bit of trouble here.
It could be concerning for them simply because they weren't able to capitalize, even when those turnovers weren't capitalized on, to come back out and make things happen. Here's the thing, though, Mr. Campbell. That game is at Eden Stadium. It's a 1-point game. Don't be surprised to see some adjustments from John Wheeler's defense. Obviously, they're playing extremely well right now, holding Heathwood to just that one touchdown that was on a short field. You got to have an offense that makes adjustments, though, and try to capitalize. Otherwise, that 19-game winning streak in the rivalry could be coming to an end. How about this? The Red Devils of Clennon, thanks to Zach on Twitter for this one, they're up 20-14 on Chapman. How about the Panthers of Chapman coming back in that ball game? I believe at one point it was 14-0, if I'm not mistaken. And now you've got the Panthers right there in it. They're trying to spring the mild upset to get their first win on the season, and they put themselves in prime position to do it. Clennon, though, set to receive the second half kickoff. Chapman's going to have to weather an early storm in the third quarter.
Yeah, that one, Clennon maybe looks to be back a little bit. I think there's a back factor here. Trying to get us an update on some other scores. Now we'll go to the college ranks, too. I've been keeping an eye on Colorado and Houston. That's the ESPN game right now. Now, for those who've been keeping up, Colorado had pretty much at their third-string quarterback. They started the season deciding whether they're going to play transfer from Liberty, Caden Salter, who was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, or Julian Lewis, who was a five-star quarterback prospect out of the high school ranks. Right now, neither of them starting. They are starting at their third stringer coming into the season, and Houston up 13-0 in the second quarter, and Houston just down Colorado inside their own 5.
Whew. Houston's now a trendy pick for me to contend for that Big 12 title. And again, you're talking about a Big 12 conference that is really as wide open can get. A lot of parity in that conference. Utah still might actually be my favorite upon further evaluation and remembrance that Utah is not in the Pac-12 anymore.
Yes, and that Kyle Whittingham still coaching there.
Which is wild to me. I like Utah, but, man, there's something about this Houston Cougars team that just looks downright impressive.
They're very well coached. Willie Fritz is one of the better pound-for-pound coaches in college football. Last year, I think, is one you kind of just take with a grain of salt because it was such a rebuilding project for him at Houston. But this would be a big win for them. And really, the Big 12 still a conference outside of Oklahoma State. I think we can consider them the donkey in the room here. The Big 12, everybody is pretty good. But
well, that's because Oklahoma State doesn't pay their players enough, apparently. With T. Boone Pickens' money. They don't pay them enough.
Right.
Apparently.
The school who has T. Boone Pickens' name on the stadium is crying about money. Isn't that rich?
Well, the school isn't. It's more the mullet, but I don't want to dunk on Mike Gundy tonight. I didn't plan that on my bingo card, but
16.
yeah, that Big 12's wide open. And a real opportunity for Houston to make some moves again, because you're talking about not just trying to win a conference, you're talking about trying to position yourself for a 12-team college football playoff down the road, and you're going to have opportunities to get quality wins because in that conference you have Iowa State, you have Kansas State, you have Kansas, you have Utah, TCU, all teams that should be quality wins down the stretch. I don't know what the metrics are because none of us do, but it should be an interesting race down there in the Big 12.
The thing with Kyle Whittingham, and I just now kind of thought about this, and it's one thing it's easy to forget. You know who the last coach at Utah was before Kyle Whittingham?
I don't.
It would be Urban Meyer.
Oh, wow, yes.
When Urban Meyer coached
Holy
Utah
cow.
to an undefeated season and a Fiesta Bowl title when they won over Pittsburgh, quarterbacked by Alex Smith, mind you, who has played an entire NFL career since then. That was the last
My
time
gracious.
the Utes of Utah were coached by someone not named Kyle Whittingham.
That would have been 2004.
Yeah, Justin Hall, we were in the 4th grade.
Yeah, I was 7. No, I was 10. I was 10. Let me rephrase. I was 10. Wow, that is crazy. Kyle Whittingham has been there so long. It's amazing how quickly the time flies. I mean, I'm shocked that Beamer's in year number 5 at this point, but it was also astounding that Spurrier was here for 10 years. So, man, I'm getting old. What else is getting old is for other people, maybe not for Dutch Fork, but that's winning. Dutch Fork leads 28-14 in the second quarter. So they've began to space themselves a little bit from Gray Collegiate.
Which I figured we would. The Vertex PT Specialist comeback watch might not be happening over there in West Columbia for Gray Collegiate. Again,
Can confirm.
don't know how they scored their 2 touchdowns, but I think we kind of hypothesized it was through the air. It's where Dutch Fork may be a little more vulnerable, but it seems like the defense has settled in, and we know Dutch Fork can absolutely
Run the ball.
And that's probably what I assume has been happening because they have an incredible offensive line. Shout out Miss Carol over at the Valero off North Main that I frequent on a daily basis. Her nephew is the right tackle, I believe, for Dutch Fork. And my guy's like 6'7", 6'8". Show me a picture of him. I'm like, oh, my God. Yeah, he starts. And apparently, yeah he's the anchor for that offensive line.
The Battling Bishops of Bishop England, lead Dreer 21-0 at the half. So the Battling Bishops are doing their thing. How about the Fighting Jack Beltries? They lead Lancaster 24-0 at the half. The only thing that would upset him about that game, Mr. Campbell, is if it takes longer than 3 hours to complete it. I don't know if you heard that rant this morning. He was none too thrilled about a game last night he was covering that took 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, you want to know why, Jack Felcher, that was the case? Because the 2 teams that you covered, Nation Ford and RNE, scored a combined 80-plus points. That'll do it.
Happen.
That'll do it. I mean, I've covered some high school football games and writing for newspapers where there was one year I covered one team specifically all season long, Donaldson Christian Academy, right outside of Nashville, little suburb of Donaldson, right outside Nashville. They played it was a private school, so they played in the private school division, and they were, without a doubt, more dominant than every team they played. And you know what, Justin Hall, that year was a blessing because I was getting out every night at like 9:30, 10 o'clock because they'd play at 7. The game was over right before 9 because they beat teams by 40, and all they did was run the ball. They maybe threw the ball 5 times a game. They had a dominant running back. They'd run 20-plus times a game. They couldn't stop them. We'd get running clocks by the third quarter. And that was for my social life as somebody who was just fresh out of college was fantastic. But you're not going to get that every game. I've been to a few where the running clock happens before the start of the fourth quarter, and I've been to a few where nobody could stop anybody, and it's an absolute shootout, and the game ends up lasting 3.5 hours.
Right, and there's variance. That reminds me of my times at Hammond where I was home at 9:15. I was calling this very program to give a final score before some teams were even at halftime. I remember those days because whenever I would call, Tommy would always say, I think we've got a final score coming from Hammond. So just saying, Jack, you'll get your other ones here soon. Heading to halftime, as we get ready to hit a break here in just a second. Pillion has tied the ball game at 20 in Swansea. The PAT was no good, so it's 20-20 heading to the half.
Oh, buddy. Oh, this is my game right here. This is my football game right now. Two small towns in close proximity in the same county. One's on the rise. The other one, Swansea, you could say, is on the rise too, because they had one great year last year after a couple of years kind of in the dumps. But we have a 20-20 tie in that game right now. That one is kind of circled as one of the best games of the night. We'll keep you updated on some more from around the state of South Carolina. We'll do a full scoreboard, as most of these games are at the halftime break right now. We'll tell you where everybody else is when the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show continues. Why, yes, it is. And we've got some scores rolling in. And it's time to get you caught up with everything that's happening tonight. So without further ado, it's time for me to break out my inner Tom Selleck and give you the latest from around the state right now. My man Carlton called in, Justin Hall, and he gave me an update. You know how we said May River was up 21-7 over Brooklyn Casey earlier?
Yes.
That lead evaporated. Vertex PT specialist come back of the night so far, because he called and told me that Brooklyn Casey is up 26-21.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And I'm not faking that enthusiasm or that shock, because that offense has been unable to do anything.
I had him repeat it to me a few times just to make sure.
Wow, that is...
Like, just
Ooh.
double check. Just double check. Oh, so
That's the
remarkable.
G.A. Mangus effect.
That is absolutely the G.A. Mangus effect. I think he might have figured a thing out or two over there. Right now, halftime, Burns 28, Grr 9. That is at the half. St. Joe's leads Pickens 35-13. Halftime at Ridgeview and Camden. And Camden's got a goose egg on the scoreboard. Ridgeview does not. They have 29 points. That one has been one of the biggest surprises of the night so far. Westwood leads Airport 41-7. Sorry, Justin. Halftime in Newberry. Newberry's up on Chapin 31-9. Right now, Latta, currently in the undefeated club, leads Mullins, the Fighting Xavier Legette's 22-14 at halftime. West Florence up on Wilson 21-20. That one's not a half yet, but that is late second quarter. We are at half of AC Flora versus Lawrence. The Fighting Dave Adair's 35-0 AC Flora. They score the points that make the whole world sing. Halftime with Blythewood. Blythewood up 24-6 on Keenan. Impressive showing from the Bengals so far. Dutch Fork leads Great Collegiate 28-14 at the half. South Florence is up 43-7. They're playing the Patriots. I'm trying to look at which Patriots those would be. Help me out here, Justin Hall. The Patriots. South Florence playing the Patriots.
They're playing Fort Dorchester.
Fort Dorchester. Oh, good Lord.
That nickname slips up on you, honestly.
I just know the logo. I'm still associating logos with a lot of them.
That's
and
fair.
It's not a very descriptive logo. Of course,
Agreed.
halftime 20-20 between Pillion and Swansea. Right now we're at the half. Northside Christian leads Andrew Jackson Academy 16-6. At halftime, the battling Bishops of Bishop England up 21-0 on the Fighting Alex Englishes of Drea.
There you go.
That's another surprise one. I think we both kind of anticipated that one to be maybe a little closer than what we have so far. Other scores from around the state. Liberty leads Palmetto 21-13 at the half. Hartsville in Kellytown in the second quarter up 28-14 on Rock Hill. No one simply walks in there and wins. And I think Rock Hill is learning that lesson right now. Williamsburg leads Thomas Hayward. Sorry, Tommy, you're down 27-0 at the half. Trinity Collegiate has a 20-point lead on First Baptist. That's 20-0. Wilson Hall and Lawrence Manning tied at 7 in the second quarter. Halftime at Hammond, but the Skyhawks trail by 1 against Heathwood Hall, 7-6 at the break. Blowout of the night, Philip Simmons. The Iron Horses are really playing like a team that is called the Iron Horses. They're at 57-0 on Military Magnet right now. The Fighting Rogers at Hunter Kiner Tyler, they're up on Denmark Olar 42-0 at the break. Bamberg Earhart all over Calhoun at the half, 20-0. Lake City trails Lamar 36-28. That one says the second quarter. They might be a little closer to half. Timberland leads Kingstree 22-14. Timberland love their boots. Chesterfield, the Golden Rams, up by 1 on C.A. Johnson, 21-20. That's in the second quarter. And poor Rick Henry and his alma mater, because the MacB Panthers trail 35-0 to Buford, 35-0. 35-0 at the half. Fairfield Central up on Louisville 14-6 at the break. Williston Elko leads Eau Claire 7-6. The Caps of Columbia lead Great Falls 24-0 at half. Chester, a 1-point lead over Saluda at the half. Is that surprising to you, Justin Hall?
Slightly.
A little bit. I still like Saluda to win that game, but Chester's showing that they are no joke. Don't play with the Cyclones. Do not play.
Never play with a Cyclone.
Do not play with the Fighting Devon Downies. No, sir. Abbeville at the half leads 96, a member of the Patriot League. 96, I don't expect to gain much ground here. They're down 14-0 at half. Chesney leads RS Central at the half, 14-7. Orangeburg Wilkinson up on Edisto at the halftime break, 28-0. Waccamaw is whacking Johnsonville right now, 20-7 in the second quarter. Carvers Bay, one of those teams in the undefeated club in 1A, they're down to Georgetown 14-3 in the second quarter. Dillon taking care of business against the Swamp Foxes of Marion, 34-0. Maybe a little guerrilla warfare would help the Swamp Foxes a little bit in the second half. Aner leads Green Sea Floyds 12-6 at the halftime break. Silver Bluff up on Blackville Hilda at the break. That one's 41-0. A lot of blowouts so far. Union County up on Blacksburg 13-0. Clinton up on Chapman 20-14 at the half. Powdersville on the road at Pendleton. Doesn't matter that they're on the road. Robin Bacon and his bunch at the Patriots up 21-0. Hilton Head Island up 42-12 in the second quarter on Hardyville. That one's on running clock alert. Hampton County at home, trailing 17-7 to Bluffton at halftime. East Clarendon, a team that has only given up 6 points all season long, has given up more than double that in this game to Lakewood. They've given up 14. But the Wolverines of East Clarendon have scored 28, so it has not mattered as much. Low-scoring game. Darlington trails 7-0 against Sherrall. Our Darlington Falcons in an absolute dogfight in the third quarter. That one's still 7-0. North Augusta leads Strom Thurmond 10-6 at the half. Some intrigue there. Strom Thurmond kind of hanging around. I would have picked North Augusta to maybe win that one by a score or two, but that one's gotten pretty close. One that's not really close, Seneca versus Walhalla, 55-0. That game is. Seneca leads. Oh, Cutter Woods not walking through that door. Belton Honeypath, you down with BHP? Yeah, you know me. And you know Justin. We know how good they are.
Yeah.
They lead Westside 34-6 at the break.
Ooh.
That's one we haven't gotten a lot of updates from, but that one is a bloodbath after 2 quarters. Berea leads Southside 7-0. And Ashley Ridge at home hosting Oceanside Collegiate. A fun game there in the Low Country, 14-7. Ashley Ridge leads. Lucy G. Beckham leads Hanahan 15-0 in the second quarter. Beaufort and Goose Creek tied at 20 at the break. The Fighting Chris Deerings of Berkeley, they currently have a lead right now in this at half. That one has gone to half. They lead West Ashley 21-0. The Fighting Jamie Bradfords of Wando trail St. James in the second quarter 21-0. Socastee not having their best night. They are getting beaten up by Stratford 49-6 at the half. Loris all up on North Myrtle Beach 34-7 in the second quarter. Conway at the half leads Marlborough County. Would be my grandmother's favorite high school football team, but Marlborough County trails 10-6 at the break against Conway, and those are your halftime scores.
Look at that. That is what we call a rundown right there. I've got one more for you. I don't know if you mentioned it. I couldn't hear it if you did. Lexington 17, Greenwood 14 at the halftime break.
Ooh.
That score just came to me about 10 seconds ago.
That is a
Thanks
development.
to our friend Bill. It is a developing story, an ongoing situation up there in Greenwood. A game a lot closer than the experts thought it would be, and I'm not an expert. Certainly not. But
It's closer than the experts and the dummies thought it would be. The dummies being
true.
us.
Right here, pointing to me. Loris leads 40-7 over North Myrtle Beach. Elijah, you mentioned that one. I'm just going to give you a 3-word as we go to the break and get ready for hour number 3. Loris is good.
Very. Nothing to play with.
No.
Nothing to play with.
Don't mess with Lions.
Yeah, the Wu-Tang Clan made a song that said the Wu-Tang Clan is nothing to mess with. I'm FCC proofing that. Loris is putting out a track right now against North Myrtle Beach that says Loris ain't nothing to mess with. And you know what? I concur.
By the way, Northwestern has scored its 13-6 Trojans over South Point. And South Point just answered back. It's 13-12 extra point bad snap. So Northwestern holds the 1-point lead.
Oh, that one's getting really interesting. I think I set the target score on that one, the combined score for South Point to win, to stay under 25. Justin Hall, we both graduated high school. 13 plus 12 is?
25.
I don't think South Point has any more margin for error defensively to give up to Northwestern in this game. Personally, I love Jazavian Currents. The kid is an all-world athlete. It would be really impressive for him to be able to do it both ways and help pull this game out for South Point.
No doubt about that. Should be a great one down the stretch here as we near the back half, the back 50% of our program here coming up.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned it. These games are at halftime. Some of them the second quarter. Our show is now at halftime. 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. You're listening to the Cottman Transmission High School Scoreboard Show right here on the game. 2 hours down and 2 to go here on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. Doing the old octopus arm thing. Gotta have to put somebody on hold there. Sorry, Bell. We'll get to who the identity of the second caller is, but our man Roger has called in to give us some updates. Thank God for some caller ID here. Thank you. Roger Bell is on the line with us right now. Roger, welcome back to the show, brother. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm going to put 41, Patton Hall Nut in the third. And I'm going to shout out to wide receiver Nate Harbor, number 8 from Carolina. 6'5", 240. Wide receivers get about 5 to 7 catches tomorrow this Saturday.
Ooh, you say 5 to 7 catches. Okay, I'm intrigued. But does he
5 to
get
7.
5 to 7? Okay, does he get in the end zone Saturday night, or is it just 5 to 7 catches to help advance the ball a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you this, Roger. If Nick Harbor scores a touchdown tomorrow, I like the health of the offense. He needs to be involved early and often. I mean, that's a guy, too. He's a natural-born mismatch out there on the perimeter. We talked about Lenore Sellers needing to be Superman to win this game tomorrow night. I would like to see Nick Harbor be that favorite target. I'd like to see those target numbers go up. First 2 games, Justin Hall, Lenore Sellers, 19 pass attempts against Virginia Tech, 19 pass attempts against South Carolina State. I would love to see that number go north of 20 tomorrow.
Well, if you would like for that to happen, I'll give you some time to get who that caller ID is for that next caller, because I'll tell you this: Nick Harbor getting catches in the 5 to 7 range, and Lenore's getting 250 through the air, 3 TDs. I like your opportunities to win your ball game if you do that. I've got stats from halftime from our buddy Bill up in Greenwood. Lexington leads Greenwood 17-14. It is a brewing upset up in Greenwood. How about this, y'all? I'll just run it. Greenwood, 41 plays to Lexington's 28. They've outgained Lexington 290 to 108. Average per play 7.1 to 3.9. They've doubled their number of passing plays. Greenwood has 208 yards passing, just 75 for Lexington. Only 33 rushing yards for Lexington, but both teams have scored 2 touchdowns in this ball game, and there have been no turnovers. Greenwood is dominating the stat sheet, ladies and gentlemen. Time of possession, number of plays, total yards.
Yards per
punts
play.
Yards per play, punts are the same. Greenwood has been penalized 9 times to Lexington's 1.
Well, there is a context clue as to what is happening in this game. Maybe a cleaner football game for Lexington. That, I thought, might have been a possibility. Also, is there an explosive play discrepancy? I don't know if he has the scoring summary.
Well,
because if Lexington hit on a couple of big plays, if they may have hit on big plays, that might kind of reflect some of the numbers that you just rattled off there.
The game would be tied, but Greenwood is 0 for 1 in field goal attempts, while Lexington's 1 for 1. So there's your difference in the scoreboard just there. But I'm really confused how Lexington has scored 17 points with that stat line.
Wow. Yeah, that is a little perplexing. We'll effort more of that. Our man Cale Wilson's on the line with us right now. He is covering Lugoff, Elgin, and Aiken right now. It was a 14-0 advantage for Aiken. The last time we spoke, Cale, what's the latest?
So before I give you that, did I just hear that correctly? Is Lexington beating Greenwood 17-14?
Why, yes, you heard that loud and clear.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on it. So last time I was on the phone with you guys, Aiken was up 14-0. There were 28 total points scored in that second quarter if you include the touchdown from when I was on the phone with you. Lugoff Elgin leads 21-14.
Oh, heavens.
So, heavens. Eric Richardson, remember how I told you how he had just gotten in the game when I was on the phone?
Correct.
He was out for the first quarter. First offensive drive in, he has a 24-yard touchdown. And the Demons have not stopped scoring since. It has been really interesting. I've been on the Aiken sideline for this first half, and they had Richardson was covering Terrence McKenzie for Aiken, number 16. They had each other on an island, so he was the only receiver on his side of the field. Every time that Richardson lined up near the Aiken sideline, the entire sideline was chirping Richardson's name. And it got to the point where Brandon Poston got ejected for a fight that happened on the field after one of Lugoff's touchdowns.
Oh, so a little bit of mental falling apart here for Aiken, it sounds like.
I would definitely say so. In the first quarter, they were so loud. They were super hyped. The second quarter, I have not heard hardly anything except for them telling each other to, I guess in the PG way to say it would be lock in.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, to lock in. Good stuff, Cale. If anybody wants to watch this, I mean, this Lugoff Elgin team has successfully achieved our first Vertex PT Specialist comeback warning of the night. They were down 14-0, now lead 21-14. If we want to watch this game, Cale Wilson, where do we do it?
We'll be live streaming this game as it continues on Savage College Football on Instagram. There's about 14 minutes left at halftime, so in about 14 minutes I will start the live stream back up. But hey, come and join us on the live stream and listen to the High School Scoreboard Show. Have yourself a high school football party with your friends or your family or just by yourself. Nothing wrong with that either.
That's right. Absolutely. You know what? Doing some things by yourself is more fun than doing it with other people. Sometimes I do like going to a movie theater by myself. It's really underrated, right? If you just need to just zone out of the world around you for 3 hours, go to a movie theater by yourself. Eat your weight in popcorn, drink your weight in soda, and enjoy a film, right? Just enjoy a film. It's not the worst thing in the world. Cale, appreciate you as always,
buddy. And then go jog.
That can happen later. That can happen later. When you are indulging yourself in calories, you might need to let it sit for a little bit in order for that to not come back up.
As we let some of these games get further into the third quarter before we give you some more updates, I did want to hit some of the games tomorrow because it is a loaded slate across the country tomorrow. How about this one? Let's start in the ACC, the Atlantic Coast or the All Coast Conference.
That's right, because it is no longer limited to the Atlantic.
It is not. Georgia Tech, that line is down to Clemson -2.5. Georgia Tech hosting them at Bobby Dodd. Virginia hosts William and Mary, while SMU goes to Missouri State. Yes, you heard me right.
That is
tickets as low as $26, by the way.
Newly FBS Missouri State.
Yeah. No one just walks into Robert W. Plaster Stadium in Springfield, Missouri. West Virginia is hosting Pitt. The backyard brawl is back, baby. North Carolina hosting Richmond. Sneaky great game in the ACC. Number 5 Miami is hosting number 18 South Florida. And that game is on the CW. So not only do you get to watch Gilmore Girls, but you get to follow that up with a ranked-on-ranked matchup between Miami and South Florida. South Florida, by the way, is in Tampa. That is not South Florida. Virginia Tech is hosting Old Dominion. Virginia Tech's 0-2 to start the year, and the Brett Pry train is coming off the tracks very quickly, which means they're probably going to be coming after the Shane train at the end of this season. Tulane is hosting Duke tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Duke got splattered by Illinois last week. Cal
fell apart.
That ACC matchup, that ACC blue blood, Cal is hosting Minnesota, and Stanford is hosting Boston College at 10:30 p.m. on the ACC network because that game is being played in Palo Alto, California, and it's a conference game in the ACC. Someone make it make sense.
It will never make sense.
In the Big Ten, Northwestern hosts Oregon, splatter alert. Alabama hosts Wisconsin. Michigan hosts Central Michigan. Houston Christian is at Nebraska. Towson's at Maryland. Villanova's at Penn State. I'm sorry, I'm done going through these because that's a yawner. Everyone who talks to me about the SEC scheduling, it is now week 3, and that was the schedule in the Big Ten. Let's go to the SEC.
Oh, sorry, yeah. You were saying something, I fell asleep.
Yeah, sorry. Oklahoma, who scheduled Oklahoma to go to Temple?
Yeah, to go to Temple, props, I guess. But somebody at Oklahoma,
I get it's at Lincoln Financial, but
somebody at Oklahoma scheduled a home and home with Temple.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Strange.
Alabama, as we mentioned, hosting Wisconsin. Auburn returns to the Plains. They host South Alabama tomorrow. Newly top 25 Auburn, by the way. The number 25 Missouri Tigers host Louisiana, not Louisiana Lafayette, just Louisiana. Game of the week in the SEC? Question mark. Number 15 Tennessee hosting Georgia on what should be the SEC on CBS. Texas hosts UTEP. That's at 4:15, so we'll get to see Arch Manning wince as he throws again. Mississippi State is hosting Alcorn State. Ole Miss hosts Arkansas. Be very, very careful of the Razorbacks tomorrow.
I'm taking them to cover. I don't know if they win, but I think Arkansas, they're playing for Coach Pittman's job. I think you're going to get a good boost of energy in that first half. Look, Ole Miss didn't look particularly impressive against Kentucky. That's a team they should have beaten by a couple touchdowns. They kind of played to what their demons were in that matchup historically. If Austin Simmons can't avoid turnovers, he's going to limit the ceiling for Ole Miss. I'm a believer in Austin Simmons. I think he eventually figures it out, but Arkansas is going to be pretty motivated coming into that game.
Taylon Green is a second-year quarterback in the system of Bobby Petrino. Just keep an eye on Arkansas this year. They have a potential to win 8 or 9 games. LSU is hosting Florida tomorrow. Number 3 LSU hosting Florida. Florida, by the way, lost last week to South Florida, in case you're interested, and moved up in one voter's AP poll.
It'd be nice if some of them watched football.
With.
If some of them watched football, that would be nice.
Well, I understand, though. I mean, you cover a team. You understand. You can't watch all the games, but you do have your finger on the pulse of the sport, and so I appreciate you for that.
Yes.
If you want to watch this game, you need Peacock or at least access to watching NBC. Notre Dame hosts Texas A&M. Kentucky hosts Eastern Michigan, and there's a game at Williams-Brice tomorrow between the number 11 South Carolina Gamecocks and the visiting Vanderbilt Commodores. Both teams are 2-0, but both teams could not look any different at 2-0, and I'm shocked that Vanderbilt is not yet ranked. This should be a ranked-on-ranked matchup. That line opened at -8.5. -2.5 now is the line according to ESPN Bet right now.
It's now down to 2.5?
According to ESPN Bet, the over-under is 49.5, and the line is South Carolina -2.5.
Meaning on a neutral field, they would favor Vanderbilt.
Correct. And I'm gonna be that guy. I don't blame them. If you're just looking at how the season has gone thus far, and you have a really reliable game in Virginia Tech to look at, I mean, I don't know. If I'm not tied to any school, I'm looking at this going, I don't really see it. However, I believe South Carolina's got something for Vanderbilt tomorrow. I believe the team has taken notice of the talking coming out of Nashville. I like the Gamecocks tomorrow to win by 10 or 12, but I am very nervous about that, if you want my honest opinion. But should be a good game. Hopefully we see Rasul Faison carry the ball more than 6 times, and Donovan Murph continues to flash. Get Lenore Sellers on the perimeter. And how does this defense perform against Diego Pavia for a second year in a row? They really clamped down on him. South Carolina, folks, if you remember last year, beat Vanderbilt. I use this term, beat them better than any other team.
Beat him by 3 touchdowns. No one beat Vanderbilt by 3 touchdowns last year.
That's the reason the game is circled, by the way, by Diego Pavia, in my opinion. So excited about this game. 7:45 supposedly, but of course a 7:55 kick on the SEC network. A team that's ranked number 11. Everyone, this is a hinge game. South Carolina's season hinges on the game tomorrow, and I get it's only going to be September 13th. The season hinges on this game against Vanderbilt. You win it, you feel good about going 4-1 or 5-0 in your first 5. You lose it, and things get awfully uncomfortable in Columbia for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, the goals that you set at the beginning of the season of going further in terms of where you were last year, out the window.
Yep.
It's going to get much more difficult than Vanderbilt. Hate to break it to them. It's going to get much more difficult, specifically at home. Oklahoma looked really good. Alabama is still Alabama. You still got to play Clemson at home. You still got to go on the road to LSU. You still got to go on the road to Ole Miss. You still got to go on the road to Texas A&M, who I think beats Notre Dame tomorrow night.
Agreed.
You still have so many more difficult games that are going to be more difficult than the one that you're playing tomorrow night. You got to send a message, which is why I think if Carolina has maybe a 2-score lead, 3-score lead in the second half, I'm running it up.
Yes.
I'm going full Dan Lanning against Oklahoma State, and I am going for it on 4th down. I am running the score up if you have the opportunity to do
agree.
So.
Well, that's what South Carolina did against Texas A&M last year, too. I mean, they had that game in hand and continued to throw the ball and ended up winning by 24 points. You need to see that continue tomorrow if you're South Carolina. You would like to win this game that way. Honestly, I'm fine with a 1-point win if I'm a Gamecock tomorrow. You just got to get out of there with a win, and you got to keep your home crowd engaged in this home game tomorrow night that should not have any weather issues. Should be an exciting matchup, but again, that's going to cap a great day of college football for sure.
Yeah, it absolutely will. We'll continue to give you more updates from around the state and the high school football world as the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show continues right here on the game. And as we roll in to this next segment of the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show, I got to let this one bump a little bit because it's still Dre around here. Our Vertex PT specialist comeback of the night so far was Brooklyn Casey. Once down 21-7 against May River, took a 26-21 lead. Well, my man Carlton called in and alerted me that with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, May River scored a touchdown and retook the lead. It is 28-26 May River with 7 minutes to go in quarter number 3.
And got another back and forth ball game there, but a good effort from Brooklyn Casey. This is a team that was struggling offensively. To be in this kind of ball game has to be very encouraging. That coaching staff and just the progress that offense has made to this point. Again, you're about to head into region play. You've got to be encouraged by your offense's performance tonight, even though your defense has been lacking a bit, as it has in recent weeks as well. 2 plays, both runs to open up the second half for Camden. Ridgeview leads 29-6 now. The 2-point conversion was no good. So still a 3-score ball game for Ridgeview and Camden. Ridgeview trying to hang on. I imagine we're going to get to the point here in about 30 minutes where Ridgeview is going to be, quote, hanging on against Camden.
What was that score update again?
29-6.
29-6. Okay.
23-point ball game. Still got basically 2 full quarters to go because it only took them 2 plays to make that touchdown happen. Our Darlington Falcons defense is playing well. Offense is not. It's 7-0. Sherrall going to the fourth quarter, but the Falcons are in plus territory, as we like to call it these days.
Yep, they need it
to tie the ball game.
Your margin for error has been significantly cut down. You need to get on the scoreboard here if you're Darlington, because time, to quote Steve Miller Band, keeps on slipping into the future.
Does it slip into the future?
It does.
Yeah, I like that.
It does.
Fort Mill, the Fighting Jack Veltries are up 31-0 in the third quarter.
Jack gets to stay in the undefeated club. He's not going to see Ed Bird. Ed Bird's not even going to be thinking about going his direction because they are cruising right now. That is remarkable. We have an update in Pillion and Swansea. A 36-yard passing touchdown. This comes from my man Jacob Phillips of the Lexington County Chronicle. Shout out. That touchdown pass from Pillion gives them a 27-20 lead over Swansea. 9:09 to go in quarter number 3. Coach Helms, his group, that's a pretty big score right there. Those are 2 undefeated teams trying to stay ITC. Pillion with a leg up right now, 7-point lead.
Going to the fourth quarter over at Eden Stadium, Hammond trails Heathwood 7-6. Going to the fourth quarter of that ball game, a rivalry game that I believe should be played at the end of the year, but that's neither here nor there. They got the stop. Heathwood got the stop. They're in the fourth quarter now. 11:22 remaining, and they will have the ball, looks to be at around their own 25 as Hammond was unable to convert on fourth down.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
If I'm not mistaken,
a field goal would have given you the lead.
If I'm not mistaken, Hammond holds a 20-plus year winning streak over Heathwood Hall.
19.
Okay, so this would have been 420.
Yes.
F-O-R.
Yes,
20
correct.
Years. Yes. Well, I love how we give the update on Camden scoring. And it didn't take long because Mackie Wilson on Twitter says Ridgeview 36, Camden 6, Ooh. 6:22 left in the third quarter. That feels like a backbreaker.
That does. That feels like you were just able to pop 2 plays in for a touchdown, get it to 29-6. Some wind taken out of your sails there, not getting the 2-point conversion. You're still down by 23, and they just come right back down the field. Honestly, it's that kind of night where you just go, it's just not our night tonight. And Ridgeview, again, Elijah, I said this to start the show, man, I don't know. Trey Howard not being on this team due to injury, Ashton Chapman is kind of the straw that's stirring that drink right now offensively. Yeah. And they're scoring points. Again, like I said, I was more impressed with them after the loss last week than I would have been after a win. They were very impressive. Going to the fourth quarter, I've got another score for you. Northwestern 20, South Point 12. And the Trojans have the 2nd and 22 from their own 39 when play resumes to start the fourth quarter. An 8-point lead and the ball for the Trojans over South Point.
Well, I'm going to stick to my guns here because before we really got deep into this game, I said if this game total of points reaches north of 25, I don't like South Point's chances. Now that Northwestern has gotten into that threshold of scoring 20, we have 32 combined points in this game, meaning South Point has 12. I don't know if South Point has the offensive firepower to be able to come back in this one. I thought they had to really win this thing in the mud.
Agreed. I would agree with that, and I think your score benchmark there is right on par with what I was thinking as well. South Point does have big playability, but now you're in a 2-point conversion situation to keep the game tied, and Northwestern has the football. Comeback alert is we're in watch territory. I just don't know if we're going to get to warning at this point. Chapin has scored 16 points tonight.
Okay.
Now they're
Progress.
down 38-16, but they're showing some offense. They're showing some life here, according to our buddy Mark on Twitter. Wilson leads West Florence 27-21 after 3 quarters of play, and Vanderbilt has announced that they will be rocking the all-white tomorrow night. White helmets, white jerseys, white pants. So just a little uniform update for you.
A bit of a whiteout. Do we have any word of what South Carolina will be donning tomorrow night?
I have not seen anything.
I have not either.
That will tell me. I will put my pick out because they don't do the reveals anymore. I will say all garnet, head to toe.
Oh, that'd be nice. Fire ant defense type
game.
beat.
Yeah, I would go with that. Now, I'm a big fan of the throwback garnet helmet with the black jersey and the white pants. I believe it's your best look, but I'm thinking all garnet might be the move, especially with the all white look from Vanderbilt. Skis a score for you. Ben Lippin 44, Cardinal Newman nothing.
Yeah, Ben Lippin been playing some defense.
Ben, well done, sir. Well done. River Bluff leads 14-7 over Gilbert. The Gators have 4th and 24 from the Indian 36 when they come out of the quarter break there. Looking for a few more scores here as we look around the state again. Newberry leads Chapin 38-16. Hammond has the ball back, and they're up around midfield here. Again, down by 1, trying to make something happen. Okay.
Bad to worse.
I have to inform you.
I could just tell by the look in your face and the sound in your voice.
There's a running clock in the second half. Westwood's up 58-7. Going into the fourth quarter.
Tough sledding for your Airport Eagles. Malik Miller with a rushing touchdown. That extends the Irmo lead over Carolina Forest to 41-21. It looks like Irmo might be cruising to a win to stay in the undefeated club, and it looks like Carolina Forest might be getting a visit from Ed Bird.
Northwestern was forced to punt. Their quarterback, Xavier Means, was the punter, and that punt is downed at the 1. So the Stallions with 10:50 to go. South Point will need to go 99 yards and convert the 2-point conversion to tie this ball game up. Again, 10:50 to go in the ball game. South Point trails in that one 20-12.
We have an update. We started the segment with that May River Brooklyn Casey update. My man Carlton just sends me a text. Bearcats 29, May River 28, 4:19 to go in the third quarter. They have figured out the offense over there at Brooklyn Casey, over there at the Fort.
That is fantastic. Fort Knox is going to be unhinged if they're able to win this ball game and do it in this fashion. Excellent job from Coach Clyburn, Coach Mangus, that entire staff to get that offense back on track. We do have a final score. Stratford takes down Socastee 56-12. Another great win for Stratford tonight, as they're able to get the win by 44 points over the Socastee Braves.
Woo! Impressive win of the night alert.
No kidding. All right, Hammond and Heathwood. Hammond trails 7-6 with 7:50 left. They have 4th and 2 coming up at the Heathwood Hall 44-yard line. They got to get it to the 42. 7:50 to go in that ball game. They have called timeout.
Okay. Interesting.
So we have a situation brewing, if you will, over at Hammond, as they are looking to convert there to try to get this ball game to swing back in their favor, to continue to chew up clock maybe and set themselves up for a game-winning score. Palmetto trails Liberty 28-13. That one heading to the fourth quarter. And as you mentioned, Elijah Ermo up on Carolina Forest 41-21.
Lawrence Manning takes a 14-7 lead going into the fourth quarter over Wilson Hall. That's our Watch Fox game of the night. So if you're tuning in on TV, you're watching that one be a one-score game going into the final 12 minutes. So that one should be a lot of fun. Ben Lippen puts another score on the board. They now lead 44-0 on Cardinal Newman.
The Griffins score again an 75-yard drive. Fairfield Central leads Louisville 22-14. They're about to head to the fourth quarter in that one. The Knights of St. Joseph's Catholic lead Pickens 42-27. 4:40 to go in the third quarter there. St. James leads Wando. The Warriors, the Fighting Jamie Bradfords, are down 21-14. That one closing in on the fourth quarter as well. 9:30 to 10:30, ladies and gentlemen, we have entered the witching hour in the state of South Carolina when it comes to high school football.
Yeah, the Fighting Jimmy Bradford's over there at Wando. A Vertex PT specialist comeback of the night watch. Previously down 21-0, scoring 2 touchdowns. They've made that thing pretty interesting.
No doubt about it. Hammond converts on 4th and 2, and they do it by running a pitch play to the wide side of the field and picked up the first down. Looked like they faked the sneak and end up spreading that defense out. They pick up the first down. Hammond maintains possession of the football as they're down 7-6.
All right, we have more scores for you. As Justin said, we are entering the witching hour. The game's going into the fourth quarter. This is where things get weird and where things get a lot of fun. We will keep you updated on this witching hour coming up next on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on the game. The witching hour is upon us, my friends. It's here. The fourth quarter. And we have a lot of one-score games. We just got a call right now as we were coming back from break that said Heathwood forced the punt. So now Heathwood has the ball, about 6 minutes left. Hammond's going to have to play a little bit of defense to get that ball back, still down 7-6.
Oof. I'm telling you, we are now in serious mode where folks in that stadium are probably looking around going, is this happening? Is this happening tonight?
Lemon booty.
Is this really taking place? Because none of those kids were born.
No,
the last
they weren't.
time Hammond lost to Heathwood.
They were not.
None of them. None of them. Not a single one. I got an update for you from our buddy Bill up in Greenwood. 3:48 to go in the third quarter. Greenwood has scored a touchdown. It is 21-20. The Eagles of Greenwood back out in front. A great ball game there. And I had another one for you before my screen. Third down stop by the Hammond defense. That ball is going back to the Skyhawks.
Oh, that's awfully
once
quick.
They punt that ball away.
That was awfully quick. Let's see what Roger's got for us right now. Roger's always quick with it. Roger, what do you got for us, sir?
My former alma mater, Hunt Tower, fixed them all or nothing. I want to do a shout out to South Carolina Gamecock defensive player, Dylan Stewart. He will get a sack or two against Vanderbilt.
Okay, a sack or two against Vanderbilt. Well, Roger, in order to, I'll confirm your confidence here. Vanderbilt, both their tackles, left tackle and right tackle, Pro Football Focus pass blocking grade below 50. If there is a game where Brian Thomas Jr. and Dylan Stewart should both eat, this is your game right here. As long as you can maintain Diego Pavia in that pocket, I think if they're dropping back to pass a lot, Dylan and Brian both should be getting home.
Agree.
I think that should be the case. So I love the prediction there, Roger. But you heard it. His Hunter, the Fighting Rogers at Hunter Kiner Tyler, wasting no time, scoring early and often in that game against Denmark Olar.
No doubt about that. So he just to confirm, Roger has 250 yards and 3 touchdowns for Lenore Sellers, 5 to 6 catches for Dink Harbor, and at least a sack or 2 for Dylan Stewart. He's projecting that the 3 aliens for South Carolina will do alien things tomorrow.
That they pass
the
alien
well for
test.
The Gamecocks.
It would. Those three fellas play well. I like your chances.
Gilbert has taken over the football on their own 6-yard line.
Ooh.
2:44 remaining in the ball game. They trail by 7. Got to go the distance. Northwestern has kicked a field goal. It is now 23-12. Northwestern leading the Stallions of South Point. That game might be getting close to over. I'm not going to call it yet, but we're getting close. 42-9, Burns leading over Greer heading to the fourth quarter. Trey Segarra is the real deal, and Burns is really good. And you're going to see that come region time, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's what made that touchdown drive from Dre Dobson and Irmo at Burns earlier in the season a lot more impressive. Just because that Birds team is for real. They got weapons. They've got a dude, capital D dude on that team. They're taking care of business tonight. That's what makes that Irmo win that we kind of covered earlier in the season a lot more impressive. It is aged gracefully.
Absolutely. I got another update for you here. Heathwood did punt the ball away. Hammond has the ball at their own 32, 4:07 to go. A field goal wins the game. But it appears Hammond doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in that, given their recent decision-making down on the plus side of the field. So we'll see what takes place there over at Eden Stadium. But Hammond's got another opportunity. Heathwood also defensively has another opportunity to seal this ball game and end a long losing streak to the Skyhawks.
Oh, man, this is a really big 4 minutes. I think that's the one we kind of got our eyes on right now. I want to get back to the Greenwood-Lexington game. Scoring that go-ahead touchdown, 3:48 to go in the third. It would feel like Greenwood is now in a chance they could breathe a little bit. I trust that defense to be able to get a stop. But if you're Lexington, it almost feels like a do-or-die drive, despite you still having a whole quarter left, because you got to be able to turn the water off at some point for Greenwood and make them feel like they're still in that game with you.
Right. And that's absolutely the case. Lexington has really been able to hang around in spite of every statistical metric telling me they should not be in this ball game. And that's a credit to Lexington. That's a credit to Stuart Young and that staff over there in year number 1. But at the same point, this is a Greenwood team that I have staked my claim on as a state championship contender this season. And they're going to do state championship contender things if you continue to let them hang around. 29-28, BC leads May River. They're going to the fourth quarter.
But your four's up.
28-14, Clinton over Chapman as they go to the fourth quarter. Final score at York, a dominating performance by Clover. They defeat York 47-0. Coach Perry Woolbright gets win number 100 of his head coaching career. So congratulations to Coach Woolbright, formerly of the Lexington High Wildcats, now up at Clover. And Abbeville leads 42-7. 5.5 minutes left to go in that ball game.
Yeah, stunned to hear that Abbeville's beating anybody 42-7.
Hammond has been stopped on third down. It's going to be fourth down.
You can go for it.
That offense.
It's go for it time. It's go for it time for Hammond.
Yeah, there's no question. Now, they are in their own territory, so that's part of it. That might be part of your decision-making, and your defense has been able to bow up throughout the night. We're not done yet in South Point Northwestern. A 35-yard touchdown run by Jazavian Currents. The two-point conversion is good. 5:14 to go in the fourth quarter. Northwestern 23, South Point 20.
Electric playmakers will do electric playmaker things, I guess. Oh, goodness.
That's usually the case.
Hey, Jazavian Currents recruited to play defense, but is that a guy that might give you some shades of Vakari Swain because of what he can do with the ball?
You want to put the ball in the playmaker's hands. I will tell you this. I was watching that game from my couch. I was supposed to be at the game last Saturday, but situations and scenarios occurred. I watched it from my couch, and honestly, I'm kind of glad I did. That second punt return for Vakari Swain, did anyone else have the, oh no, please don't do that moment as he runs up to pick up that football? Because I certainly did. But playmakers, when the balls are in their hands, like Vakari and like Jazavian Currents and many other players across the state on a Friday night, when the ball is in their hands, good things tend to happen.
And Vakari Swain definitely fits that mold. Would you say Dre Dobson from Irmo fits that mold?
I would, especially given that he's the quarterback. I would say yes. If he's touching the football, things are going well.
He throws another touchdown pass. Another one. Irmo leads Carolina Forest 48-21.
Hammond went for it on fourth down, not shockingly, with 2:47 left to go. They were in their own territory, ranging toward the 50. Pass over the middle, and ball was separated from the receiver. Turnover on downs. Heathwood Hall has it up by 1, 2:47 to go, deep in Hammond territory with a chance to ice this ball game. What a defensive effort from the Heathwood Hall Highlanders.
Wow, the Fighting Asia Wilsons are just a little bit closer to being able to put that thing on ice. That is a massive play. That would snap a 19-game winning streak that Hammond has over Heathwood Hall.
No doubt about that. And what an incredible, like I just said, what an incredible effort by Heathwood Hall to just defensively bring your lunch pail tonight and just be willing to muck the game up, if you will. They have just done a great job of making Hammond uncomfortable offensively, not letting them get into a rhythm. Every clip I've seen, and this is coming from our buddy Thomas Grant, it's coming from Lou Bajak, hard-hitting football tonight. They brought their lunch pail. They're willing to come out and lay the body out on the line for this one, and they were on a mission. It appears they have 2:47 left to go to accomplish it, but man, what a win this would be for Heathwood Hall.
Oh, it'd be massive. They should do it on the road. Another massive update that we have, my man Carlton sends me a text. 11 minutes to go in the game. May River has a 37-yard field goal attempt, and it's blocked by Brooklyn Casey. So they still maintain a 29-28 lead with 11 minutes to go in that game.
Darlington had tied the ball game at 7, but Sherrall takes the lead 13-7. Extra point attempt is no good after a bad snap, but it doinked off the upright. 1 minute remains. Darlington needs a touchdown and an extra point to win it. They're down 13-7.
How deflating is that? It's a 7-0 game for a large majority that Sherrall had a 1 touchdown lead over Darlington. Darlington finally gets into the end zone, and then you immediately give up a touchdown. That's brutal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
We have concerns growing, honestly, in that scenario for Darlington to fight your way back, and then the momentum gets stolen from you late in this ball game, taken away from you, not stolen, taken away from you there. That's going to be tough to rebound from, but you got a minute to do so and see if you can get back in position to try to take a shot or two at the end zone here toward the end of the ball game.
Going to keep tabs on that. We are in the witching hour. Some games within the final minutes, some early in the fourth quarter. We will keep you updated to all the scores from around the great state of South Carolina. Coming up next here on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on The Game. The witching hour is upon us. We have one more segment till we're into the final hour of the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show here on The Game, and we have developments, especially over in River Bluff. My man John Carlos hits me up. He's been taking photos of that game. An interception on the final play of the game, essentially the final play of the game. River Bluff takes a knee. River Bluff will win this game 14-7 over Gilbert. Big win for Perry Parks and his crew.
Big win to move to 2-2, I believe, on the season, Elijah, and a big win for Perry Parks, as you said. Great outing for them to get that win down at 1.7-0 to rally back and really take control of that ball game defensively. That bodes well for them heading into region play. They're going to need that defense. But how about this? Hammond has forced a turnover, as in a punt, and they will get the ball at their own 22. with 1:33 left to go in the fourth quarter. They have no timeouts, and they only have 6 points tonight. So while I breathe, I hope is the motto of our state, and so they have that with 1:33 left to go in the fourth quarter. Ridgeview has hung half 100 on Camden. It is 50-6.
Oh,
the
Lord.
Blazers over the Bulldogs.
Oh, a game that we will not be having to keep close tabs on in the witching hour. Ridgeview going to run away with that game, a potential 40-plus point win for the Blazers in that one. That was a game that I think the consensus was coming into the night, Justin Hall, was that this was the game to watch, and it turns out Ridgeview made it not safe for work.
Right. I'm a bit stunned by this score. I'm hard pressed to figure out if I really believe it. Honestly, I look forward to looking at the tape and figuring out what Ridgeview did to slow that Camden offense down. South Florence struggles to score in the first half. They did not struggle to score in the first half tonight or at any other point. South Florence has gone final. They defeat Fort Dorchester 65-7.
Woo!
Tonight.
Oh,
that's after getting beaten by Northwestern last week. But man alive, that is an insane performance, a rebound after a loss on the road against Fort Dorchester for South Florence. I got one more for you. Jazavian Currents avoids a sack. He drops it off to R.J. Brown, and Brown runs it in. South Point 28, Northwestern 23 with 35 seconds to go in the fourth quarter.
Oh, my goodness. Jazavian Currents having to step in and play quarterback has done nothing but make plays in this second half and completely take my theory on what this game was going to be and wadded it up like it's a sheet of paper and threw it in the trash. That is remarkable.
They were down, folks, by 2 scores in the fourth quarter. And they are now at a 5-point lead with 35 seconds to go in the fourth. I asked Coach Wolford earlier today in my conversation with him, how do you stop a kid like Jazavian Currents? He said, well, you got to keep him in the pocket and you got to make him beat you with his arm. You can't let him get out and improvise and make things happen with his feet. He did it on that play, avoiding a sack, pulling a Lenore Sellers, if you will, and he throws the go-ahead touchdown to give South Point a 5-point lead with 30 seconds to go. It'd be a big win for South Point tonight if they're able to hang on.
That one is our leader in the pack for the Honda Drive of the Week. It's also the leader in the pack for the Vertex PT Specialist Comeback of the Night. But the other contender for Vertex PT Specialist Comeback of the Night comes from Lugoff Elgin, who was down 14-0 to Aiken. They end up scoring 21 unanswered, going to the half with a touchdown lead. We are now done with 3 quarters in this game, and Cale Wilson joins us now to give us the latest as to what happened in that third frame.
Hey, guys. So I'm calling you here from Aiken, South Carolina for Lugoff, Elgin, and Aiken. It's been a crazy second half so far. Aiken was able to drive down the field, their best offensive drive ever since their touchdown drive in the second quarter, at the beginning of the second quarter when I was on the phone with you guys. But the crazy thing was they went for it on fourth down. They attempted a field goal. They did not get it. So 21-14. A 35-yard jet sweep after a drive down the field, 35-yard jet sweep by Eric Richardson to the 1-yard line. The 1-yard line. Aiken defense forces a fumble on the 1-yard line, recovers the fumble, and they just had a 15-yard run on second down and 9 from their own 2-yard line, and then they just had a 20-yard pass. So now they are near midfield with the ball, down 7 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
Ooh, man, talk about a momentum shift right there. Cale, you're there. You're in the stadium. The emotional changeover from Lugoff Elgin taking the ball to the 1-yard line, seemingly with an easy chance to go up 2 scores, only for it to be taken away from them by Aiken. Now Aiken having a chance to be able to tie this game. How would you describe the emotional shift happening in that building?
So as I'm now on Lugoff Elgin's sideline. I was walking down the sideline, and I saw Lugoff Elgin's offensive line coach getting on the offensive line, telling him to do what we tell you to do. We know what we're doing. Stuff like that. So I have a feeling that maybe the fumble was an offensive line miscommunication.
Oh, tough break there for Lugoff Elgin, but a golden opportunity for Aiken. If anybody who's listening to this right now wants to be able to tune in and see what Aiken does with this possession, Cale Wilson, where do they do it?
They can go to Instagram on Savage College Football and tune in. We will be live streaming the rest of the game as soon as I hang up the phone. So come and watch the stream with us. Listen to the High School Scoreboard show on 107.5 The Game and have yourself a little high school football party going on tonight.
I love it. Good stuff there from Cale Wilson. As always, go ahead, hit him up at Savage College Football on Instagram to watch the fourth quarter of that game. Things are happening, Justin Hall, and that even includes May River retaking the lead. Last we heard from that game, they had a chance to kick a field goal, take a lead. That got blocked. A 42-yard touchdown run with a 2-point conversion makes it May River 36, Brooklyn Casey 29. Still efforting, industry term, the amount of time left in that game.
I've got things happening in the upstate. An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty backs up South Point on their kickoff. Spurgeon, the returner for Northwestern, big punt return. They get the ball to start their drive at the South Point 26-yard line with 25 seconds to go. 2 incomplete passes make it third down with 15 seconds left to go. And now Northwestern has fourth down from the South Point 26 with 10 seconds remaining. Lexington has taken the lead from Greenwood on a field goal, 8:27 to go in that ball game. Swansea has scored, gotten the 2-point conversion. They lead 28-27 after an 18-yard rushing touchdown, 6:57 to go in that ball game. Chapin has scored. They found their offense. It's 38-22. Newberry, though. Hammond is driving at last check. Ball on the Highlander 27 with 26.3 seconds left and no timeouts for the Skyhawks. Things are happening, if you will, as we reach the end of hour number 3 of the program.
Yeah, they are. We'll give you an update as soon as we can on that Hammond-Heathwood Hall game because it is coming down to the final seconds. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, hopefully we might have an answer as to what happens. Does Heathwood Hall break a 19-year streak, a losing streak against Hammond? We'll find out next here on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show here on The Game. Final hour of tonight's show on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Justin Hall. And before we get to Heathwood Hall, Brooklyn Casey down one score. It was 36-29 with 2:30 left. The Bearcats were on the move. This comes from my man Carlton. They were inside the May River 29 with 1:51 left, but a fumble for Brooklyn Casey turns it over to May River, and that might be the game.
It very well could be. It might be the game at Hammond. Hammond with no timeouts drives the length of the field, and Jackson Ross hits a go-ahead field goal with 11 seconds left. Hammond leads 9-7 over the Highlanders with just 11 seconds to go. Northwestern went for a deep ball into the end zone with 3 seconds left. It was a beautiful throw, just overshot. South Point comes up with a game-sealing INT. South Point is going to walk out of Northwestern with a hard-fought win, 27-23, your final there. Trojans fall to 3-1, and they're going to Nation Ford next week to take on the Fighting Jake Bentleys of Nation Ford. So, if you need an update, Hammond is up 9-7 with 11 seconds to go after a go-ahead field goal, and Northwestern comes up a bit short after South Point mounts a valiant comeback, and the Stallions take down Northwestern 27-23 on their home field.
Wow, David Cloninger is not going to be happy about that. It will not be a happy DC in the press box tomorrow.
I would agree with that. And
Oh,
because of
man.
this game, nothing else, just this game.
Yeah, just this game. That'll ruin his weekend. They'll absolutely do it.
I'm looking here. Oh, a late touchdown for Newberry. Mark just hits us on Twitter. Late touchdown for Newberry makes it 45-22. That game is obviously well out of reach, but Chapin has found some offense. Ridgeview, a last-minute kickoff return as the clock runs out. They defeat they defeat Camden. Ridgeview defeats Camden 56-13. Final, Ridgeview moves to 2-2. And Marlboro County scored with less than 5 seconds to go. Marlboro County takes down Conway 12-10.
Oh,
the final over Conway.
Rock fight status all night. Conway led for a good chunk of that game. Marlboro County picking up a massive, massive win.
Hammond, it has gone final. Jackson Ross, not only did he make the game go-ahead field goal that ended up being the game-winning field goal, he makes the game-winning tackle on defense. Hammond defeats Heathwood 9-7 to continue the winning streak, both overall and over the rivals at Heathwood Hall. Highlanders fall 9-7 to the Hammond Skyhawks tonight as we continue seeing more scores rolling in. T.L. Hanna taking care of business. Irmo moves to 4-0 tonight. They get the win over Carolina Forest 51-21, and Irmo will travel to Myrtle Beach next week to take on the Seahawks down on the Grand Strand. So again, games that we kind of highlighted before the show really got rolling tonight include Ridgeview and Camden. That game did not go as I expected in the slightest. Dreer and Bishop England has not gone how I thought at all. The Battling Bishops of Bishop England, if this score holds, and the last time I checked it was 49-0. So if I just do some quick math on the air, which I don't advise you to do, after tonight, if that score holds at 49-0, Bishop England would have been outscoring their opponents 134-6 through 3 games to start 2025. And that, you know what, folks, that's just hard to overcome if you are trying to score against them. And 134-6, insanity. 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Crescent trails MVP. Mountain View Prep leads that one 34-19. And again, like I said, Irmo 51-21 winners over Carolina Forest.
Oof. Yeah, and the final from in South Florence. South Florence beats Fort Dorchester 65-7. That one is confirmed final. Just got a call in as we spoke.
That is, again, credit to Coach Marlowe, credit to that team coming back from a tough loss to Northwestern at home and to go on the road to Fort Dorchester. I know Fort Dorchester is going through it right now and having some difficulties just scoring the football, stopping folks. But to get a win like that after taking a loss to Northwestern in the manner that you did says a lot about the organization and the program up over in South Florence under Coach Marlowe. Just an incredible job from and Messiah Jackson, that entire team. Again, just want to remind you, I haven't seen any latest from Jacob Phillips on Twitter. It is still Swansea 28, Pillion 27. That game dangerously close to being final. They had 6:57 to go about 12 minutes ago.
We now have our first post-game report of the night. Mark is on the line reporting from Newberry and Chapin. And, Mark, we've been offering to be your football therapist these Friday nights. Another loss for Chapin, but it looked like there was definitely some signs of growth.
Yeah, I feel great tonight. I mean, I feel good because they started a sophomore quarterback, Aiden Black. Played really well. Had a couple touchdown passes, had a touchdown run. Young kid, still small, needs to put some weight on, but played really well, scrambled really well. It just looked, they looked better tonight. They still got a lot of guys hobbling around with ankle injuries and stuff like that. But Newberry's looks really good. I think they're going to make a nice run. That QB, Justin Caldwell, he's something else. He just sits back there and picks you apart, and then if he doesn't like it, he just takes off. So it's a tough guy to defend. Yeah, I think they're going to make a run for sure. They'll move to 4-0 tonight. Chapin falls to 0-4, but we finally scored. So I feel much better heading down 26 back to Chapin. Appreciate you guys again. Got a little big game tomorrow for the Gamecocks and Spencer Rattler on Sunday. Let's get a win for him.
Hey, and then Mac Jones has to start for the Niners. Brock Purdy will be walking through that door for 24 hours.
We got a shot for sure.
It's our shot. That's our chance. We're not going to win many this year. We can win that one.
How's everybody else doing? Is Dutch Fork? I haven't seen a Dutch Fork score in a while.
Yeah, what Justin, 28-14 was the last one that we saw?
Last score I saw was 28-14 Silver Foxes. I haven't seen anything since then.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that score has probably grown.
Yeah, I would think so. But all right, guys, again, I feel much better tonight. Thank you for the therapy. Appreciate it. And I don't even know who we got next week because I got so depressed I didn't even look at the schedule. So, but I know it's not gonna be easy, whoever it is, because I think we get into either region play or I don't know what we're doing, but as long as we keep the kid in, let him take his lumps, unfortunately, this year and let him gain some experience. And he looked really good tonight, though. See you guys later. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
I'm looking here for Mark's sake. I regret to inform you, Mark, you host Somerville next week. So congratulations. You get the Somerville Green Wave next week at home. Thank you for showing up and wanting to support your team. You get Somerville next week, so congratulations.
The Fighting Preston Thorns, not ideal. We have another post-game update. This one comes from Nathan in Camden after what I think a lot of us would have anticipated as being one of the games of the night. Nathan, it was a tough one for Camden.
Sometimes you're the bug, and sometimes you're the windshield. And unfortunately, tonight we were the bug. Credit to Ridgey. That's a heck of a football team. They're fast on both sides of the football. And we just didn't play Camden football tonight. Out of sorts on offense. Every time we had an explosive play, it was coming back for a hold or an illegal man downfield. Just never could quite get into a groove. And Ridgey had a punt return for a touchdown, a kick return for a touchdown, a pick six, and a scoop and score. So if you take those four scores out, it'd be a little bit closer ball game. But unfortunately, you can't. And sometimes you learn a lot from a game like this, right? Last year, if you look at it, we get beat 64-0 by South Point. And if you would have polled people coming out of that stadium and said, "Hey, will Camden make a deep run in the playoffs?" I guarantee you wouldn't find one person that would have said yes, but we ended up making it to a third round. So I know this coaching staff and I know a lot of these players, they'll bounce back next week, but this one was a tough one to swallow because we shot ourselves in the foot a lot tonight. And one thing you can't do in football is play behind the sticks, and that was one thing we were constantly doing all night long. And with that defense that Ridgey's got, when you're behind the sticks and they know you got to throw the football, it's tough. So credit them. stings tonight, but looking forward to going to Richland Northeast, which I haven't been to their new stadium yet. So this will be our first trip over there next week. So looking forward to that and try to get back on the winning side of things.
Yeah, certainly. And Nathan, before we let you go too, it definitely just felt like one of those games. It was a Murphy's Law game for Camden. You can't spot good teams. 22 points to start the game. It certainly felt that it was one to get out of your system in terms of if they're going to have one throughout the course of 4 quarters where anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and having it happen and this early in the season is probably the best time for it.
No doubt. I always say on the air is the real season starts next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the region game. So, if you're going to have one like this, let's go ahead and get it out of our system now. But I was really blown away by Virginia U. I mean, I knew they were good. I went back and watched a little film on them leading up to the game tonight. And it's one thing to see it on film. It's another to see it in person. This team, I think, will win their region, and I think they'll make a deep run. They're just 35 seniors on this team. So they are senior heavy. So they're poised to make a deep run. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this team responds. In years past, Camden has responded well when they've had games like this, and we hadn't had many of them. But when we've had them, we've bounced back strong the next week. And I expect this team to do the same. But when you got a young team at certain spots, we got one senior and a bunch of sophomores at wide receiver. We got most of our offensive line, other than one senior, are sophomores and juniors. So you got a lot of young guys that they're facing this for the first time at the varsity level. So how they respond will tell us how this team is. And I've got full confidence in them and the coaching staff. They'll get things right in practice. There was nothing tonight that was glaring where it's not something you can't fix in practice. So get back to the drawing board and try to get a win next week against the Cavaliers.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of opportunity moving forward. Nathan, thanks as always, man, for calling in. We're looking forward to talking to you next week.
Yes, sir. And let's go stomp a mud hole in the Commodores tomorrow. I need something to feel good about myself. There's been a lot of chirping on Twitter, so I want to be crickets on Saturday night where they can't say anything. Go Cox.
Oh, I love it. I love that from Nathan. I think Nathan's hitting on something too. Something I've noticed. I don't think there's ever been this much of a desire to wipe Vandy off the face of the earth in maybe the history of South Carolina Gamecock fan, the history of, I guess, the Gamecock fan. Usually when you beat Vanderbilt, sometimes you kind of do like the Wesley Snipes meme where you're holding the gun out and there's a tear coming out of your eye. It's like, I feel bad that I'm having to beat you by 40 because you're Vanderbilt. But now it's like, okay, you get a chance to run it up tomorrow. You want to run it up because Vanderbilt has finally decided to grow up a little bit and start talking trash.
I think the closest to that, Mr. Campbell, would be post 2007, 2008, back-to-back wins for Vanderbilt in the series, including a Bobby Johnson team in 2007 that waltzed into South Carolina and won a game that I'm still confused how South Carolina lost that game. That team was really good in 2007, and that began the wheels falling off. And then they won again in 2008 up in Vandy on a Thursday night in week 2 of the season. 2009 was that one where we're like, okay, you got to go out and take care of business, and they did, and they haven't lost to them since. But you mentioned Murphy's Law earlier. Murphy's Law scares me right now with that series. Eventually, Vanderbilt will beat South Carolina again. It just can't be this year.
You cannot have it be this year. No, No, not with the expectations that you had for yourself coming into this year and the opportunity that lied ahead with having number 16 at quarterback. Oh, no.
Not at all. Fairfield Central defeats Louisville 29-22. That game has gone final. Final score at St. Joe's Catholic 49, Pickens 41. As that game got tight down the stretch, the Knights of St. Joe's are now 3-1. Absolutely. Those games in the upstate can get wild in a hurry. The air's thinner up there. Burns gets a win 49-9 over Greer. 3 passing touchdowns for Kane Rogers, 3 total touchdowns for Trey Segarra, a punt return touchdown, and an INT for Emerson James. And Burns now 2-1 heading into region play that starts next week.
Ooh, another final. May River officially closes out the win, 36-29 over BC. Brooklyn Casey did get the ball left, 29 seconds at a timeout. Was able to at least get one more crack at it, according to my pal Carlton. Had one more crack at it, not able to convert, but May River comes away with a 36-29 win. A very impressive showing for a Brooklyn Casey team that started off really slow in this game, got down 21-7, found themselves taking a lead, blocking a kick for May River that would have given them a lead, kicking a field goal to take the lead back, but then ultimately not being able to keep May River out of the end zone long enough to where they end up falling late in that game. Those are some of our score updates. We have a lot more to get to, including what happened in River Bluff and including maybe an update on that Dutch Fork Gray Collegiate game. All that and a whole lot more as you're listening to the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on The Game. We're in the final hour of the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on The Game. We have finals. Final scores to get to you. We left you with May River closing things out against Brooklyn Casey. But we have more to get to. Looks like right now the final score from Dutch Fork Gray Collegiate. The Silver Foxes 42. Gray Collegiate 14. We had our tabs on that one, Justin Hall, early when it was a 14-14 game. And then seemingly Dutch Fork said, you know what? We're going to play football now.
yeah, we've decided that we're going to play football. That secondary is going to shore itself up. And they did just that. An impressive win for Coach Knotts. And again, another win. I believe that's 28 or 29 in a row. That's 8 straight on the road. They're just doing what they do. And I got a new quarterback in there and in the younger Knotts and playing well. That defense, I mean, I know the secondary had its struggles last week, but, man, that defense is really good. And to hold Gray to 14 points is downright impressive. How about this one? Final score from Swansea. Swansea 28, Pillion 27. Pillion drops a thriller. Tigers of Swansea move to 4-0, and they are going to Barnwell next week. How about that matchup between the War Horses of Barnwell and the Tigers of Swansea? If I just look ahead here, Barnwell, the number 8 team in 2A, and Swansea was receiving votes in 3A. I imagine Swansea moves up. The St. James Sharks now have a winning streak, 2 in a row. Well, it depends. If you call 2 in a row a winning streak, then maybe.
In the movie Major League, they would not consider it. Yes.
No, that's 2 in a row. If you win 3 in a row, that's a winning streak. It has been done before. They defeated Wando tonight 21-14, so a good win for St. James. Wando beginning to struggle after a fast start. And Saluda takes down Chester tonight 34-14.
Ooh, yeah, and Chester got up early. We said don't play with the Cyclones. Well, Saluda decided to play with the Cyclones, and they yielded some pretty good results, and it resulted in a 20-point win. We also say don't play with our man Lou Bajak. Lou Bajak was over at that Hammond-Heathwood Hall game. And, Lou, you were treated to a very entertaining football game at the very end. Maybe not the most exciting in terms of total points scored, but you got yourself some pretty good entertainment tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, most of these games would last, at least out of the past 20 of them, and most of them haven't been close, but tonight's was close, and Hammond, like they have so many times in the past, was able to squeak one out, and Jackson Ross, the Division I prospect at linebacker, Vanderbilt coaches were here tonight watching him, and he hits a 36-yard game winner with 11 seconds left to help Hammond beat Heathwood and extend the winning streak. It's the 20th in a row over Heathwood. And I think that's Hammond's 26th or 27th in a row overall, dating back to 2023.
I mean, Lou, there were about 2 or 3 times in this game, specifically in the end of that fourth quarter, where I said, okay, streak's over. Heathwood Hall got a stop or forced a turnover, got an interception, whatever. There were so many times in that game late in it where I thought this is Heathwood Hall's to lose, and they just couldn't put away Hammond, it felt like.
No, they couldn't get that first down. They got the ball back. They made a stop, and they had a penalty, and they weren't able to get that first down, so they had to punt. Hammond's called their last time out. I think Hammond got the ball with about 1:28 left. I forget where exactly they got it. It was deep in their territory, and their offense hadn't been playing well at all, and you would think Heathwood, and they made a couple stops, but freshman Kate Amell, who rotates with Ben Kaiser at quarterback, came up with some big plays, a couple big passes. In fact, one big pass to Kaiser down to set up the game-winning field goal. And, yeah, you thought it was going to happen. They made a couple big stops. I mean, they scored on the first possession of the game, Heathwood did, and were able to turn Hammond away a few times. They had an interception by Jackson Noble, about 2 or 3 fourth down stops, but weren't able to put it away. But I talked to Coach Tamir Zimmerman after the game. Definitely proud. I mean, the way things were, he pointed last year they had a running clock in the second half. It was 42-0 at halftime, and here they were was seconds away from snapping that long losing streak.
Now, I'm looking at the video right now that you posted, Lou, of Jackson Ross's 36-yard field goal. And as somebody who's being recruited at the, Power 4 level to play defense, he made it from 36. It looks like he could have made it from 46. I mean, that looks like that thing had some leg to it.
Dude, he's a great athlete. He's a 3-sport player. He plays basketball. Obviously, his dad, David, who's the Hammond basketball coach, played at USC. He's a soccer player as well. So, yeah, he's a great athlete, and he drilled it. He said, I mean, they rotate kickers, and but he told Coach John Wheeler he wanted, when they were driving down, he wanted to be the one to kick it, and Wheeler definitely was on board with that for sure.
Yeah, with the leg that he displayed just on that kick alone, yeah, easy call for Coach Wheeler to be able to ask him to do that. Before we get you out of here, Lou, your Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it wasn't an easy game against the Jets. I thought they would cruise, but you're one game into your Aaron Rodgers era. How you feeling?
Loving it, yeah. Loving it, and just a way to actually have an offense that's very good to watch. A defense worried me a little bit, but hopefully they can get things turned around a little bit. They got Seattle coming in. DK Metcalf revenge game. Last week was there, and Rodgers revenge game now, DK Metcalf. So we'll see. They go against Sam Darnold in that offense.
Well, it looks like I need to go up and down the Steelers schedule and see if they're playing anybody where one of their players used to play for, and then that might be how I make my money the rest of the year. That could be a nice form of supplementary income there. Lou Bezjak, at Lou at the State. Whenever you're listening with us, follow along with Lou on Twitter. Yeah, an update machine, that Twitter account is. Lou, thank you very much. Look forward to hanging out with you in the press box tomorrow night.
All right, see you guys. Thank you.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Do I need to remind Lou that they were playing the Jets? Do we need to remind Lou that it was the Jets defense? I mean,
well, the Jets defense is good. It's the Jets offense scoring that many points against the Steelers where I was like, oh, interesting.
Sir, the Jets might have the worst roster in the NFL. Most of that's offense, I'll agree with you. But
I was going to say, my brother in Christ, I cheer for the New Orleans Saints. I watch them every Sunday on purpose. They have the worst roster in the NFL.
I'm with you. I understand it. The Falcons falconed on Sunday. I get it.
Welcome to fandom, Preston Thorne. Welcome to Atlanta Falcon fandom. That's a little baptism by fire, that one was. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that one, they had a shot multiple times to win that ball game. And anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about much more encouraging things. You know, Mr. Campbell, I think we are able to give 2 special awards tonight.
I think we are.
I think can we go ahead and queue up? I think we have a Drive of the Week candidate, and I think we have a Drive of the Week winner.
I think
we can talk about.
So without further ado, well, might help if I actually, turn some things on here at the station.
The Drive of the Week, sponsored by Honda of Columbia.
You're trailing a team like Northwestern, and you're doing it on their home field, and you're able to come from behind, and your quarterback puts together a drive late, and then your defense gets an interception on what was a beautifully thrown ball to the end zone, by the way, that could have been the game winner. You are Honda of Columbia Drive of the Week winner, and that is the South Point Stallions and Gamecock commit Jazavian Currents for the Stallions. What a come-from-behind win. Oh, they might get 2 awards. Let's be serious. They might get 2 of them. Are they also going to be our comeback of the night?
I think you kind of have to make it that way. I mean, Brooklyn Casey couldn't pull off the win. We haven't heard yet from Aiken with Cale's final update. If Aiken pulls off that win, then that's a comeback after being up 14-0 and losing that lead, and then coming back after that. I think the topsy-turvy nature of that game would give it a top 2 spot for Vertex PT Specialist comeback of the night. But as of right now, I think South Point fits that mold.
That is a double win for South Point, a triple win, really, a win-win-win, if you want to be honest. And I'm going to let you in a little secret. I've already determined who our Ellie Faith on-field fighter of the night is. We'll get to them and him specifically in our next segment. But I can tell you it is local, and it is because, whoo, boy, it is impressive what he was able to do to lift his team to a victory tonight. And again, I'm just going to throw us back to this score, Mr. Campbell. Ridgeview beat Camden 56-13 tonight.
Whoa.
56-13.
Really, a 56-6 was kind of the spirit of that game, because that late kickoff at the end in garbage time, as the French would call it, might change a perspective there.
Oceanside Collegiate took the lead late, 28-21, and they just scored defensively to put this game out of reach with 1 minute to go. Oceanside Collegiate leading 34-21 over Ashley Ridge. Big win for Oceanside Collegiate.
Speaking of Vertex PT Specialist comebacks, Oceanside Collegiate trailed pretty well into that game. They pulled that out That's a win against a really solid team. Doing so while having to make some plays while behind also kind of adds to the impressive element of that game.
No, absolutely. And to do it in that fashion, Ashley Ridge had the ball with 4 minutes to go, try to go down and score a go-ahead score, whether a field goal or a touchdown, and you got a defensive stop there. You got a touchdown on the other side. Then you got a defensive score as well. Land Sharks needed a win. They got one. They needed it in the worst way, and again, Ashley Ridge is a very good 5A football team. That's a big-time win for Oceanside.
Yeah, that's massive. I mean, that you want to put Oceanside Collegiate in kind of like the running to be the favorite in that classification. I don't know if I have much to push back with.
Right. Once we get into region play, you're going to see it. I mean, they've been challenging themselves in the lead up to region play, and that's why their record is what it is. I'm with you. I like Oceanside Collegiate a lot down the stretch in region play.
So when they say iron sharpens iron, this is for them. They are hoping to be the example for that. We also have a score update over in Houston, Colorado. That one's 26-14 Houston. They just forced a 3-and-out. They're going to get the ball back. The Fighting Deion Sanders is not looking really good in this one. We also have more finals throughout the state of South Carolina in the world of high school football. We continue giving those as the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show continues right here on the game. Final scores trickulating in here in the last two segments of the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show here on the game. And usually this is where we get our large bank of phone callers. Don't have it at the moment right now. So I think without further ado, Justin Hall, I think it is time that we give our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night to somebody on the field that played.
No question about it. It helps when you turn your mic on in the industry. That's important for all the folks at home to remember. Turning your mic on helps.
I've learned that.
Yes, our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night on the field. It's key. I've struggled with this one, folks. I really have. Lou's phone call and his insight swayed me. Our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night for this week on September the 12th is Jackson Ross from the Hammond Skyhawks. The game-winning field goal and the game-sealing tackle made by the linebacker / kicker who's getting looks from Vanderbilt and a 3-sport star. I can tell you that, yes, I do remember when he first started playing basketball at the varsity level for the Skyhawks. I may or may not have been the PA announcer for those games. And yes, I have much respect for his dad, who is a great basketball coach at the high school ranks. Jackson Ross is our Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night on the field for this Friday night in high school football.
And they needed every bit of athletic ability that Jackson Ross had to be able to fight off Heathwood Hall. Look, Heathwood Hall came into this game with a 19-year losing streak to Hammond. And last year, as we heard from Lou, it was not particularly close last year. A 42-0 game at the half, running clock for the final 2 quarters. And it's been that way for most years for Heathwood Hall, having to play against Hammond. And this year they led 7-6 with 11 seconds left. But unfortunately for them, Jackson Ross had a chance from 36 yards out to kick a game-winning field goal. And, buddy, that thing would have been good from 46.
I would like to quote our buddy Roger here. And, yes, congratulations to Jackson Ross on being the next and the newest Ellie Faith Fighter of the Night. We'll have that graphic out on social media here in short order. I want to quote Roger, an homage to Roger. I got 2 game score for you. Clennon 34, Chapman 34. End of regulation. They're going to OT. The Red Devils and the Panthers. Can the Chapman Panthers spring the upset tonight? We find out. And here is the score of the night for me thus far. Lexington 30, Greenwood 36.
Oh.
Greenwood scored a game winner with 24 seconds left to upend Lexington and survive.
Survival is the best way of putting that for Greenwood. Oh, my goodness. We'll get more on that game here in just a little bit. But our man, Cale Wilson, has given us an update on that topsy-turvy Lugoff-Elgin-Aiken game. Cale, how did that final quarter go down?
Hey, guys. So Lugoff-Elgin put away the Aiken Green Hornets tonight by a score of 28-14. I have Lugoff-Elgin head coach Jarvis Littlejohn here and Lugoff-Elgin quarterback Zach Williams here to answer any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get Zach on with us right now. That way we can go ahead and get him to that locker room to celebrate with his teammates. Zach, an incredibly fun win tonight. You guys got down 14-0 early, got a little hairy early. What does it say about the team that you guys have in your locker room and your squad to be able to take a slow start and not let that really perturb you from being able to advance and be able to get a hard-fought win on the road?
We just came, we went on the sideline, talked about it, got through it, and came out, did better.
Yeah, and the passing game seems like it's clicking for you guys a lot. That first game of the year, I watched that one on TV while we were here in the studio, and it's clicking. You guys have a lot of dudes on the outside, a lot of weapons in that offense. What's it kind of like with you and your teammates to be able to get that passing game to where you guys can reliably be able to put up a bunch of points on anyone you play?
Yes, sir. It really helps to have those guys on the outside, and then just lots of reps. It helps get the passing game going outside of practice.
And last thing before we let you go back to the locker room, this win tonight for Lugoff-Elgin tells us what about your team?
It tells us that we come ready to play, and we're going to put up a game with anybody.
I love it. Quarterback Zach Williams for Lugoff-Elgin. Zach, appreciate your time, and enjoy the win tonight. We'll go ahead and talk to head coach Jarvis Littlejohn. Coach, congrats on the win. Any road win at this level, you're certainly going to take. Slow start for you guys early. How would you guys, I guess, kind of grade your team's response to that early adversity?
Playing the flex bone, our guys had to settle in and find the rhythm. We found that rhythm going into the second quarter. Defense played well, stopping the dive and stopping the option. Then the offense started clicking, running the ball, and throwing some RPOs and getting a touchdown.
And then defensively for you guys to settle in too. Oh, sorry, Justin. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I just want to ask you, you've got your quarterback just talked about playmakers on the outside, and you're running that different kind of offensive system that most folks aren't seeing around the state. What makes your offense so difficult for defenses to contain throughout a 48-minute football game?
I'm going to tell you what, they got to defend the whole football field when you have Shamil Sadiq, E.J. Richardson, and our running backs, Jarquise Grant and Cash Major. You got to defend all parts of the field. So our office coordinator, Coach Albano, was doing a great job dialing up plays and getting those balls in our playmakers' hands.
And then lastly, one more for you, Coach, before you can go celebrate with your team, because I think we want you to be able to do that. You guys are getting ready to head into region play. Evaluate where your team is now compared to where you thought they would be at this point before the season started. Are you guys right on track? Are you exceeding expectations, or are there still some areas that you feel like your team's not quite where you want them to be?
I mean, there's always room for improvement. I think we're right where we want to be. We're sitting at 3-1. I wish we'd have been 4-0 right now, but that wasn't in God's plan. But I think we're right on schedule, and we're going to try to stay healthy and let's try to roll through this region.
Awesome. Good stuff there. That was Coach Jarvis Littlejohn of Lugoff-Elgin. They picked up a big win against Aiken tonight. Coach, appreciate your time as always, and best of luck next week.
Go Demons.
Go Demons, he says. Good stuff there. They picked up a really big win. While we were on the phone with Coach, got a score update over the phone. Swansea 28, Pillion 27. Extra points, Justin Hall. They matter.
They matter. When you doink them, that they'll come back to haunt you if you're not careful. Big win for Swansea tonight to move to 4-0. That team is showing that they can really play a variety of different styles of games, that they can handle the moment. This was a game where a lot of eyes in the Midlands were focused on this team and this game specifically, and they rose to the occasion. Great job by Swansea to get that win tonight and to battle back multiple times to secure a victory.
And we have a call for the first time tonight. Roger's been on a couple times, but Willie has finally decided to call in and give us an Orangeburg Wilkinson update. Willie, what do you got for us?
I'm feeling good, especially since yesterday I turned 60 years old, and what a birthday present I got. I'm a young 60, by the way.
Yes.
My Orangeburg Wilkinson Bruins 55, Edison Cougars 0.
Oh, a 55-point shutout. Hey, happy birthday, Willie. Definitely a young 60 years old, but that is a dominant win for your boys tonight.
Yes, it is. Feeling good about that. So what a birthday gift tonight. Even the cheerleaders sang happy birthday to me. I like, yeah, I'm going to sleep well tonight and wake up and we're ready for the Bulldogs and whip up on Bethune-Cookman tomorrow.
Ah, yeah. See, hey, they played pretty well on Saturday against Carolina. I like their chances against Bethune-Cookman. It's a shame that's not a conference game anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately. There you go.
It's a shame. But I still expect them to win. Happy birthday,
belated
Willie.
birthday, Willie.
Yes.
Good Thank you, too. All right. Thank you.
Good stuff there from Willie.
OW hanging a double nickel on Edisto tonight, Elijah. That's impressive. OW, I said it before the show really got rolling tonight. I mentioned it. OW came into the night ranked number 9 in 3A. Be careful. That team's going to make some noise here down the stretch.
Don't play with them. Don't play with the Fighting Willies. Don't do it. Especially not when he turns 60. Especially not. I wouldn't advise it otherwise, but especially on Willie's birthday. We'll go take a quick break. When we come back, we'll play that Magnum PI music, which means it will be our final scoreboard update. As all of our games have gone final across the state, we will give you the last of the results around the state of South Carolina on the Cottman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show right here on The Game. Before we hit up the final scoreboard, we have some specifics on that Greenwood-Lexington game. Lexington almost pulling off the upset tonight against Greenwood, despite Greenwood outgaining them in really most statistical categories. But, Justin, what is the final results that we got from a game where Greenwood really had to sweat out?
They did. 36-30 win for Greenwood. They were edged in time of possession by 5 minutes by Lexington. They did run more plays than Lexington. How about this? 490 total yardage for Greenwood, only 276 for Lexington. The key, Greenwood scored 5 touchdowns to Lexington's 3. Lexington had to settle for field goals. 3 of those, made all of them. Now, clean up on aisle 5 if you're Greenwood. 15 penalties for 140 yards. That has to get cleaned up before you hit region play. But here are the numbers for Tristan Lewis tonight. Again, committed to the University of South Carolina. He had 17 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. He also was 22 of 38 through the air for 287 and a touchdown. And he caught a pass for 2 yards as well.
Doing a little bit of everything. Yes.
And Desiree Christian, your leading wide receiver, 6 catches for 128 yards and a touchdown. Jay Duncan coming in close behind that, 9 catches for 105 yards. The difference in this ballgame appears to just be athletes making athletic plays and not having to settle for field goals in the red area and scoring touchdowns instead.
Sounds like a little bit of a precursor maybe to what we hope we see tomorrow night at Williams-Brice Stadium, where the best players shine and do what they do. Having the best players on the field and them playing like the best players in the field, it's kind of what we're hoping for. That's what we're hoping to see. So that's how Greenwood and Lexington went down. And without further ado, it's time to get you all of the scores from across the state tonight. And we will start. This one still says third quarter. It's definitely over by now. But Anderson Cavaliers up 38-14 on Andrews. That was in the third quarter rather. Final, Liberty over Palmetto, 42-19. The last update we have on Hartsville Rock Hill is fourth quarter, but Hartsville leads 56-38. Rock Hill just wasn't going to walk into Kellytown and win. Lawrence Academy beats Wynn 36-22. Williamsburg all up on Thomas Hayward 40-13. Trinity Collegiate up on First Baptist 41-14. I have a feeling that one has gone final. Lawrence Manning was up 14-7. Wilson Hall scores a touchdown, but cannot convert on any conversion afterwards. Lawrence Manning wins 14-13. Heathwood Hall falls 9-7 to Hammond, falling just a point short in that winning streak, or 2 points short rather. And that winning streak for Hammond over Heathwood extends to 20. Ben Lippen been scoring a lot of points tonight and also not giving up any. They beat Cardinal Newman 44-0. Scotts Branch beats Lakeview 22-18. Philip Simmons runs over Military Magnet 71-zip. Hunter Kiner Tyler shuts out Denmark Olar 58-zip. Latta remains undefeated, beating the Auctioneers of Mullins 22-20, so they get to stay in the club. No visit from Ed Bird tonight. Lamar beats Lake City 62-36. Timberland over King Street 29-14. Cross beats Lake Marion 20-6. Chesterfield at last score in the fourth quarter was up 49-38 over C.A. Johnson. Now, the Fighting Rick Henrys at McBee, they were down by a lot. They still found a way to score 30 points. However, Buford scored 49-30. Buford wins. Last score update, North Central was over Mid-Carolina 33-28. That one has not gone final to our knowledge. Fairfield Central beats Louisville 29-22. Eau Claire ends up running away with it. The Fighting Jermaine O'Neills beat Williston Elko 32-7. The Caps of Columbia beat Great Falls 37-8. Saluda took a game that was close and made it not so close. They beat Chester on the road 34-14. Abbeville all up on 96. They win 42-7. Chesney wins a one-score game against RS Central 28-21. Orangeburg Wilkinson 55. Edisto nothing. Shout out Willie. Carvers Bay remains undefeated. They survive a scare on the road at Georgetown. They win 27-21. Dillon beats up on Poor Marion 61-6. Ainer beats Green Sea Floyds 38-6. Swansea in a thriller. Extra points matter, kids. They beat Pillion 28-27. And what was my personal game of the night, Silver Bluff shuts out Blackville Hilda 55-0. Union County beats Blacksburg 49-7. Clinton in overtime beats Chapman 40-34. Robin Bacon on the road, well, you can chalk it up as a win because Powdersville beats Pendleton 35-7. Mountain View Prep beats Crescent 41-19. MVP gets a big WIN. Hilton Head Island beats Hardyville 59-12. Bluffton all up on Hampton County. They win 31-7 on the road. East Clarendon gave up more points in this game against Lakewood than they have the entire season so far, but they still scored a lot more points. They win 35-14. Cheraw beats Darlington 13-7. South Aiken shuts out the Warhorses of Barnwell 49-0. A little bit of a surprising result there. North Augusta took care of business. Shout out Craig Godwin on our YouTube stream, who just came in not too long ago with an update there. They win 37-13 over Strom Thurmond. May River beats Brooklyn Casey 36-29. Seneca beats Walhalla 75-0. Yikes. St. Joseph's Catholic beats Pickens 49-41. Belton Honeypath, you down with BHP? Yeah, you know me. And for West Side, I'm sorry, Cutter Woods ain't walking through that door. BHP wins 42-6. Berea beats Southside 21-12. Colleton County all up on Stall 31-18. South Florence brought the hammer to Fort Dorchester tonight. They win 65-7. Oceanside Collegiate beats Ashley Ridge 28-21. Lucy G. Beckham beats Hanahan 35-7. Beaufort on the road in the creek beats Goose Creek 33-27. Berkeley shuts out West Ashley 39-0. Shout out the Fighting Chris Deerings. St. James beats Wando 21-14. Stratford blows out Socastee on the road 56-12. Loris all up on North Myrtle Beach. They win 53-14. Marlborough County erases a small deficit in the fourth quarter. They come away with a 12-10 win over Conway. Wilson beats West Florence 27-21. Westwood in a running clock game beats Airport 65-7. Sumter shuts out Crestwood in a game inside their own town there. Sumter gives Crestwood their first loss of the season, and the Fighting John Morants, unfortunately, are going to be paid a visit by Ed Bird, meaning they're going to be escorted out of the undefeated club. Again, 28-0. The most surprising results of the night, Ridgeview taking a hammer to Camden 56-13. Lugoff Elgin wins at Aiken despite going down 14-0 to start the game. They scored 28 unanswered and win 28-14. River Bluff fights off Gilbert 14-7. Irmo takes care of business against Carolina Forest, gets them kicked out of the undefeated club by a score of 51-21. Dutch Fork takes care of business on the road. They beat Gray Collegiate 42-14. Newberry beats Chapin 45-22. South Point at one point down 8 in the second half. They win 27-23 over Northwestern in a big battle in Rock Hill. Burns laps up Greer pretty easily 49-9. Woodruff beats Woodmont 48-6. And then Thursday night, Nation Ford beat Richland Northeast 56-27. That is the final high school scoreboard for tonight. Justin Hall, before we get out of here, your biggest winner of the night is
Ridgeview, without question. A 40-something point win. What was that? 43-point win at home over a Camden team that we talked about as being uncharacteristically on fire to start the season at 3-0. But now you get a week off before you head into region play, a chance to heal up, a chance to rest up, a chance to get healthy, and then launch yourself into region play. And that team's got an opportunity to do something special come region play time. Ridgeview's my big winner of the night. My second big winner of the night is me, because I get to wake up in the morning and go eat at a delicious restaurant in St. Simon's called Dolce & Dough. Look it up, Mr. Campbell. Look it up on social media. Homemade donuts that are as big as your face, and it's exciting.
Oh, heavens, yeah. You're a winner for that. See, my youngest sister just moved to Savannah last month, so I'm having to I'm close. So I want to make a trip down there here in the next couple months once we get maybe a bye week. It might be a bye week trip to go down there. Might have to hit up the island. Have to hit it up.
That'd be good. That'd be good. A bye week is a good time to do that, and I promise you will not regret it. Plenty of great eateries here, and great scenery as well. It is Georgia football territory right now, which is fine, I guess, if you like being barked at. But a lot of good places to eat, a lot of good sights. It's a great time.
Yeah, good place to eat, good beach. Just avoid the barking grown adults. And if we can do that, then you are fine. You've been listening to the Cottman's Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Justin Hall. We'll be back with you again next Friday at 7 o'clock. Until then, make sure you tune in tomorrow starting at 2:30, Gamecocks Game Day with Terry Ford and Tyler Head over at Jay's Corner Bar at the corner of Rosewood and Bluff Road. We will talk to you then.